YouTube channel.
Homer off John Tudor. Look at this. This is going to get over the head of Devers and all the way down into the corner. Kiermaier is going to score. Horwitz is in as well. The ball's rolling around, and Vladdy's at third.
And you have his number, right, to call Germaine?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can call him. A tremendous Thursday. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. As always, the Gregor Show is presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get in the game. Use the promo code Casino50 and you'll get play. Check it out at PlayAlberta.ca. Also, you know what today is? What's my favorite? It's grand a day for 20 years. Woo, grand for life, but it's 20 years. It's equals just over $7.2 million. And I don't know, like, hey, I would love to win the big ticket. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something about getting that $1,000 every day. I don't know, it just keeps you motivated. You're good, but you know you're pretty comfortable. So, well, more than comfortable. Let's not kid ourselves. 30 grand a month, not bad. Not bad at all. So you would take it for sure. And, you know, you could still work. Probably do whatever you like. Be good. We are live, as always, on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hello, those watching on Twitter and Instagram, listening on the app, as well as streaming on sports1440.ca. It's a busy show, the eve of the NHL draft. Also, we'll have the NHL awards tonight. Now, some have been handed out. The Selke and the Lady Byng Coach of the Year have been handed out. You got the Vezina and the Norris and the Hart and the Calder and the Ted Lindsay Awards going tonight. A few other ones as well. You also have day 2 of the NBA draft. Also, the window opened for buyouts in the National Hockey League today. And the first one, Ryan Suter. Now, is he the first guy to be bought out twice? Of course, he was bought out of his contract in Minnesota. And then again, today for the Dallas Stars, had 1 year remaining on his deal. So he'll go from 3.6 mil cap hit, and I think his cap hit next year is like 700. So basically save almost $3 million to the Dallas Stars. So we'll talk about that. Also, Germaine Buckner, NBA champion, assistant coach of the Celtics, of course, right from here in Edmonton. He will join us to talk about his career and also winning the NBA title. Pretty awesome. Had a really long career as a player in different leagues in Europe. Also, remember, played the 1 year for the Edmonton Chill, if you want to go back in time, in 2008. And also on the show today, we'll have Sam Cosentino. We'll hear from Terry Ryan, 4 o'clock hour till 5. We got Spec. Marshall Ferguson. We'll talk a little CFL. The Elks taking on the Lions this weekend. They need to win. Like the moral victories are well gone, I would think, at this point. So they got to find a way to get a victory if they can. So I know easier said than done, but it'll be fun. There's lots going on. You got the draft going tomorrow. We have also free agency beginning on Monday. Qualifying offers got to be in by Sunday. So there is lots and lots happening. But first, let's tip it off as we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to their next destination. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. Well, things start out. He's originally a member of the T-Birds, but of course now he is an NBA champion as assistant coach with the Boston Celtics from Edmonton. Germaine Buckner joins us. Germaine, welcome to the show. Congratulations. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, I see your former coach, Dave Young's posting, got a picture of you with the trophy with the Thunderbirds. Now, was that, did he Photoshop that T-shirt, or are you wearing that thing all the time?
No, Dave actually came out for a visit this year. He was able to come to a couple games, and when he came on his visit, he brought me a Thunderbirds shirt. So,
okay.
I wear it every now and then, and I wanted to make sure I got one a photo with that T-shirt on. To make sure I'm still representing.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. Well, Germaine, you've had an unreal basketball journey from a player, of course, starting as the T-Birds, and then you went over to Richmond. Had a really good collegiate career. Then you played pro for a long time, including the 1 year with the Edmonton Chill for a short time. And kind of as you evolved, Germaine, when was it that coaching was something you felt like that's what you wanted to do when playing days were done?
I think I always enjoyed coaching, and I always enjoyed the idea of it. Even while I was playing, I enjoyed helping other players get better, or working with younger players in the off season, going into the schools and working with kids. Player development has always been a passion of mine while I was a player as well. Just constantly working on my game, and I was never, the best player in the gym. I like to think that I just worked harder than everybody, or I outworked my opponents. I outworked a lot of my teammates as well. So, player development and learning the game, understanding the game, developing a mindset, and just constant improvement was always a passion of mine. And I think that kind of helped me transition into the coaching role.
So tell me how you go from coaching for the Gladiator Trier to in Germany, and how you became the assistant coach for the Celtics.
So I finished my playing career and jumped right into coaching.
Yep.
In Germany, I started coaching as an assistant coach for my former club, one of the clubs I played for in Europe.
Yeah.
And things kind of worked out my way to where I went from being an assistant coach to the head coach there. One of my former collegiate teammates from Richmond, he is an assistant coach for the Celtics, and he's done a really great job over the years with them and been successful. And last summer, he was the head coach of the Celtics Summer League team. And he had asked me to come on as his assistant and to help him out. At the time, I was working with the Shanghai Sharks in China, and he asked me to come over, so I flew over to Boston. I had a week and a half there in Boston with the team, where I was working on some things with them, and Joe Mazzulla, Brad Stevens were putting me through some different tasks that they had asked me to do. Then I flew with the team to Vegas, and I worked as an assistant coach for the NBA Summer League. That's last summer.
Okay.
At the end of my 3 weeks with them, I got a call from Joe, and he pretty much said the last 3 weeks were a job interview, and I think that you killed it, and we want to offer you a job. So long story short, that's kind of how it went down for me. And I went from, being in Germany to now being a member of the Celtics organization.
Germaine Buckner joins assistant coach for the Boston Celtics. So Germaine, when you were doing that, did you think in your mind this was like an in-person job interview?
You know what? It's kind of funny. At the moment, not really at all, because
Okay.
I was there to help my boy out, right?
Yeah.
He had called me and said, I really need your help. I need you to come out here and do this for me. And for me, it was a pleasure just to be able to. We're really good friends. He's known me since I was 16. He was my host on my recruiting visit to Richmond when I was 16 years old. So we've known each other for a long time. And when he asked me to do something, I'm going to jump at the opportunity to do it. So I was just out there doing the best that I could, using the skill sets that I had developed over the years. A lot of the skill sets that I used in Germany as an assistant coach and as a head coach, video coordinator, putting together scouts. I just did the exact same things with Boston and to help him out. And being on the court, working out with guys, again, I have a passion for player development. It's been something I've done my entire career. So I was just utilizing the skill sets that I had already had, just in a different environment. I didn't really realize that they were watching me in that way. So I was pretty surprised actually when I received that phone call from Joe, but very thankful and just very thankful for the opportunity this year.
So Germaine, what were some of the things that they had asked you to do originally? Where they were looking good, is it enhancement on players? Like what were some of the things that they wanted you to do in the summer league?
So they tasked me with video coordinating. So that would be breaking down games, players' film, opponent video scouts. So like taking apart a game and breaking it down to how many times, for example, one of the first tasks they gave me was Boston Celtics and LA Lakers game from the season prior. And I was pretty much supposed to go through that, figure out exactly what the Lakers were doing to be successful against the Celtics. That's just an example. And then one of the things I was tasked with during the game was coding a game live. So at Summer League, watching the game and then coding exactly what takes place through the course of the game. So, for example, LeBron James shoots a 2-point field goal and misses. And you got to code that live in real time, as well as like play calling. You know, what set was it that team ran, and what quarter was it? What timestamp was on it? So a lot of those things I had already been doing in Europe, so I was familiar with it. And I think that they probably just wanted to see if I was capable of doing those things. And then obviously being on the court every day with guys and working them out, that goes without being said.
Yeah. So Germaine, you come to the NBA and, you played in Europe, you come over here and, now it's the best players in the world and you're on a really good team. Like you didn't come to a bottom feeder team. You came to a Celtics who've been a really good team for a long time and, being right there and lost in the finals in previous years. So when you come in, and now you're a really good player yourself, but was there anything that surprised you about the NBA player that maybe you'd forgotten or just seen it up close was different than watching on TV?
Yeah. Again, I've been around those guys.
Yeah.
And played a game. Been fortunate enough to play against a lot of good players over the years. Basketball players were all the same at the end of the day. Like we're all human beings and we're all very passionate about this game. I think the thing that separates an NBA player from, a player over in Europe or overseas anywhere, for one, it's their size and their athleticism. Like these guys are just freaks of nature. Jason Tatum, sometimes people don't realize on TV, but he's 6'10". Like when I'm standing next to Jason Tatum, I'm 6'7" and I'm looking up to him. Or Kristaps Porzingis is like heads taller than me, and then they're freak athletes on top of that, and they're insanely strong. Like they're very physical. And then maybe the number one thing that separates those guys from everybody else is their level of confidence. Like when they shoot a basketball, there's no hesitation in their mind. There's no thought that they might miss that shot. And it doesn't matter if they've missed 10 shots prior, they're going to shoot that next shot with an extreme level of confidence. And those are probably the main things that separate the average basketball player from an NBA basketball player.
Germaine, I have to ask you, Canadian basketball has gotten better and better. You look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's up for the MVP, and you obviously had Jamal Murray, who's won championships. And, you go around the league. Like Canada just submitted their list of their top 20 guys, and there's some guys on there that didn't even get to try out.
Absolutely.
So when you're coaching, you're watching, do you watch the Canadian guys just a tad closer every now and then? And how proud of you to see the growth of the basketball community in Canada, and how do you think it can grow even more in Western Canada?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was one of the best experiences for me this year was when we would go into a game and play against a Canadian player, and I had a chance to talk to them, especially the guys who represented the country last summer. And just having the opportunity to chop it up with them and thank them for what they've done and helping to grow the game, and just watching how much has changed since I played. My last year playing with the national team was 2012, I think. And to see the way the game has developed and these players have developed across the country is really impressive, and it's fun to see. And watching now, it felt like every single game we went into this year that there was a Canadian on the opposing team.
Yeah.
So they're just littered throughout the league. And, when I looked at the NBA finals, the Eastern Conference finals and the Western Conference finals, there was a Canadian on each team. So really it didn't matter which team won. There was going to be a Canadian that won because Indiana had a player.
Yeah.
Minnesota had a player. We had a player. And then Dallas had a player. 2 players actually. So there was 5 Canadians in the conference finals, which was so awesome to see. And I just think that we got to continue as a country to put the excitement in the game. I think the Raptors really helped with that a couple of years ago and winning the championship. They brought a lot of excitement to the country. And then just Basketball Canada, they put a lot of effort, a lot of money into the development of the game. And the excitement is growing. I think there's more kids playing the game now. And there's just a lot of excitement around the game, which is awesome to see.
It is. Now, how close do you watch the draft at all?
Yeah. I watched it last night.
Yeah. So, when you see these young guys, and we've seen, there's a big influx of European players coming over here in the last few decades, and even more now, and obviously Canadians. Having played over there for such a long time, Germaine, is there anything from the European game that you think would benefit the NBA game?
Yeah, I think so. The development of the players is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And this is just from my experience. I'm just speaking from my experience. In Canada and in America, you see a lot of athletes, right? These kids are just more athletic than the average European player typically. And we typically throw them into a lot of individual training, right? Where it's like one-on-one training, or you see a lot of the Instagram trainers that'll take a kid and they'll just work, for an hour or two on their one-on-one games. In Europe, my experience was we didn't do that as much. So we would take, small groups of players and really try to teach them certain aspects of the game, whether that be spacing, whether that be being able to pass with your right and left hand, learning how to cut off of or move without the ball. A lot of off-ball movement, coming off screens, reading the screen. So a lot of the development over there starts with those basic fundamental things. It's not so much one-on-one. So, you see a guy like Luka, he's a freak. Luka's he has both. He has his one-on-one game, and then he has also the intelligence to be able to play off the ball. He's a great passer. So he's a total package. But I think the average European player in the development, they don't work so much on the one-on-one aspect of the game as they do the team game.
Okay.
And I think that's something that we could definitely integrate into Canadian basketball and North American basketball in general.
Germaine, congratulations. I don't know is the NBA do you get a day with the trophy like the Stanley Cup? How does that work?
I've tried to see Larry almost every day since we won. I've missed a couple of days with him, but I haven't taken him home myself yet.
Okay, well, hopefully you do that, and continued success.
I don't think he's left Jason's hands, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's probably fair. We got a lot of former players who played against you and at your school that are passing on congratulations on the text line. So congratulations winning your first, and hopefully it's many more to come. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You guys take care.
You betcha. There's Germaine Buckner. Man, he was a heck of an athlete. Oh, I remember covering Germaine when he was a young player, man. He was ridiculously skilled. He was in Richmond when I just started. And so I had before I was in school when he was graduating, and obviously had read stories about him and stuff, and obviously listened to John Short, and John always talked to Don Horwood and lots of the other basketball guys around. And at the time, Germaine was the best player to ever come out of Edmonton. He was so skilled and so athletic, and then went on, had a really good career at Richmond, and then obviously played pro for, I want to say 15 years. I'm pretty sure it was 15 years. So, that's a stellar career pro. And then to jump right into coaching, and then you get into the NBA, and that's kind of a cool story about the on-job interview without knowing it's an interview. You're helping out the summer league, and you do your job well, and guess what? You get hired. And you know what? And like anything, now he's associated with the championship team, and other organizations will look, and you know what? That's just how it goes, right? Because obviously this guy's done something to help. So, Cons, I don't know, Buckner a little bit before your time.
Yeah, so his brother Jamal was there, same age as me, but we would go, later in the season when his collegiate year would be done. He'd come back to Edmonton and shoot around at lunch hour. So we would be sitting in the stands, just kind of having our lunch, watching, hanging out. and just watching him, hitting threes with ease, dunking with ease. It was unbelievable to see. Like, he's probably, in person that close, one of the best athletes I've ever seen. And it's kind of how he downplays it, says he wasn't ever the best player. I can assure you he was the best player on a few teams. And it was a very talented family. But for sure, it's super cool to see him just working his way up and, becoming an NBA champion. It's awesome.
And like it's funny what he says. Man, I'm 6'7", and you look small. And against some of those guys, like imagine being 6'7" and saying you're small. It's the old adage. Hey, there's always someone tougher. There's always someone taller. It's kind of how it goes. But great having Germaine on the show, and wish him a lot of success. Because that's fantastic. So kid coming out of Edmonton for the T-Birds. So good for you. We'll take a quick break. We got lots to get to. It's a busy Thursday. We are going to talk a little bit about the NBA draft, the NHL buyouts, and shout out Tony D'Angelo. Of course, was the first guy who's been bought out twice. So it's him and Ryan Suter now that are the two that have been multiple buyouts in the NHL. So it's probably not a group you want to be into, but I'm curious. Like, will someone sign Ryan Suter? I mean, he's not at 3 points, but he played top 5 minutes for Dallas in the conference final. Can he play on a team? Now, does he want to be on a non-competitive team? Probably not. Probably won't sign on a competitive team for what, $1 million maybe? We'll see. We'll come back on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can always get involved. You can text us in our EOL inbox, 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440.
Join NHL alumni at the Hockey Heroes Charity Alumni Weekend in Whitecourt on September 6th. Crossing,
Sleep, buddy. Yeah, draft that next.
A great meal, followed by a charity golf tournament Saturday at the Whitecourt Golf and Country Club. Visit hockeyheroesgame.com to register.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa
Please enjoy your day.
Service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships and a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk. Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level. through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an AC repairman.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
All right, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. I look funny, but yo, I'm making money, see? So yo, world, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather around. I'm the new fool in town, and my sound's laid down by the underground. I drink a bottle of Hennessy you got on your shelf, so just let me introduce myself. My name is Humpty, pronounced with the umpty. Yo, ladies,
Best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta's own.
.227. How are you? Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. A lot of text line in 833-401-1440 in our inbox. The other news, the Oilers made it official. I wrote about it yesterday that Ken Holland wasn't coming back as the general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, and I didn't expect him to be in the organization. There'd been some conversations there, but I don't think either side could ever come to a role and compensation that fit either one, and so he'll move on, maybe retire. He has some options from other organizations. If he chooses them or not, we'll see. But I could see how Ken he's been in the league for a long, long time, and being a general manager, if you're going to do it right, then it's a full-time commitment. You're traveling lots, you're working lots. It's a great job, don't get me wrong, but at some point, you look at his age, and he's like, hey, I've got grandkids, I've got my kids, I've got my wife, and he'll turn 69 in November, and it's kind of ready to. He's had an unreal career. Obviously, it would have been the Cinderella story to end with the Stanley Cup, and they got pretty much as close as you can get without winning it, losing by 1 goal in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. Pretty heartbreaking, but. As I've said many times, I think he leaves the Oilers in much better position than he inherited. And you know what? That doesn't mean he's perfect. I don't know what people's... Yeah, but he signed Campbell. Yes, we know. Campbell that's the one where if you would, like a mulligan, that would be the mulligan. Not even close. Like people try to compare the Nurse contract in the same vein. It's not. Darnell Nurse plays in the NHL every year. Right? And he's had some good years under the contract. He actually had the first half of this season was pretty good. He had some times where he struggled, but I look at Darnell Nurse and he's not slowing down. He's not old by any stretch of the imagination. I think he'll be fine. He was never going to live up to $9 million. So if people can just accept that and move on and say, okay, whatever, it's probably 1.5, $1 million more than what you think. It's when people start to suggest $4 million defenseman, like that's just. Your anger shouldn't. Anger is an excuse for ignorance, I guess would be how I would word that. So look around the league. Now, the new GM will be hired. There's no timeline according to Jeff Jackson, and we'll hear from the CEO of hockey operations for the Edmonton Oilers here momentarily. But the basically a summary of his press conference today was he doesn't feel there's an immediate rush to have to sign Draisaitl right away. He said they won't really engage in serious conversations until they have a GM in place. He goes, I'm sure the Draisaitl and his agent will want to know who the general manager is at the Edmonton Oilers. What's his vision? Right? Because you don't just, hey, I'm going to get my money, I'm going to stay here. No, like you want to know, okay, what's your plan? Okay, if I sign, what's your plan to make sure Connor signs? Now, I think if Draisaitl signs, I've always said that from the get-go, that Draisaitl signing would be the best foreshadowing ever for McDavid signing. I don't think it's a no-brainer. Although, if Draisaitl doesn't sign, which it's a possibility, I think it's a low possibility, but it's always a slight possibility, I still think McDavid would. But it's more going to be the length. Now, I know some people say if you're Draisaitl, why wouldn't you sign long-term? Because I guarantees your money. And you know what? He's a bigger body. He'll slow down. But I asked this question. Can you name the last elite player? And Leon Draisaitl is elite. Like, I'm talking top 5, top 10 players in the game. Who was the last one who, when they were 32, all of a sudden had a big drop-off? So that's why I said if he signs a 4-year deal and, at the age of 32, when that deal's done, you don't think he's still going to be able to command another 4-year deal at max money? Name the one elite player who had a fall off at the age of 32 now. The athletes are in better shape. They're in better condition. I'm not talking injuries because that's something no one can predict. But again, who is the last elite player? Like Oscar Klefbom had his career cut short, 100%. Wasn't an elite player, very good player. But how many other guys have had their careers cut short who are even in the top 25% of the league? Right? Like, it's rare. I don't think that's what you worry about. And even if he did, he'd have more. He doesn't need any more money, like, realistically. Right? Let's say he signs 4 years. A 4-year contract could probably net him $54 million at 13.5 a year. Not to mention what he just made on the other 68 mil. So I think he'll be all right. Even if worst case scenario, he had a career-ending injury during the next 4 seasons, which I highly doubt would happen. So that's not something I really focus on too much. And I talked to a lot of players. Very few of them, will worry that much about it, because the minute you start putting it out there, there's a lot of people who believe you put it out there often enough, eventually it's going to happen. So. Hey, Gregor, message yesterday. Why is the organization not announcing his injury, saying they don't know? I understand they don't know the fan base anything, but transparency would be nice, from Steve in a truck. Well, I understand that on one side, Steve. I understand on the other that, some players, like their personal health, and if they require surgery, doesn't have to be public knowledge. Right? Usually, if it happens and if it requires surgery, then the team would say, hey, so-and-so is going to have surgery at this point, and away they go. So here's the thing. Maybe it's something that doesn't require surgery. So then they're not going to tell you what it is. Because at that point, then it really doesn't matter. Right? I can say that he had a core muscle injury. Now, to the extent if it requires surgery or not, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. You'd have to be the doctor who treats him. Keep in mind, surgery is always the last option. We saw this with McDavid when he crashed into the goalpost in the final game of the season was that 2018? And then he rehabbed all summer, didn't have surgery. They even made a documentary about it. Came back fine. I understand why players will go to every length first before they have surgery. Hey, Gregor, what about Joe Thornton? Yeah, what about Joe Thornton? You think Joe Thornton at the age of 32 slowed down? No. Joe Thornton, by the way, first ballot Hall of Famer next year. Not even a debate. Right? Not even a debate. So Joe Thornton, who was born in 1979. So his 20-year-old season, of course, was 1999. His 30-year-old season is 2009. All right, Joe Thornton at 32 had 77 points in 82 games after having 70 the year before. Now, then you look at he had 82 points in 82 games in 2015-16, which means he was 34, 35. 35-year-old season. So, no, Joe didn't fall off a cliff at 32. Not at all. But he will be falling into the Hall of Fame next summer. You look at next summer's eligible players, I think I could say right now with confidence the four NHL players who will be Hall of Famers next year. Zdeno Chara, Joe Thornton, Duncan Keith, Carey Price. I think the first three are locks, and Carey Price is close. And he's probably going to get in. Played in a big Canadian market. All that helps. You know, Olympic gold medal, really good goaltender, obviously. Career a little bit shorter, unfortunately. But Duncan Keith's a no-brainer. Zdeno Chara is a no-brainer. Joe Thornton's a no-brainer. So, Alex McGillney, probably going to have to wait another year. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't, honestly, I feel right now he's not in because of what's going on in Russia. I firmly believe, I could be wrong. I don't have any basis or understanding because the voters don't talk about who they voted for. But I don't understand any other reason why he's not in. I don't get it. But we'll see. So. Hey, Greggs, have you happened to see Anaheim's orange jersey and helmet? What do you think? Oh, buddy, I'm telling you, Daniel, I would buy that jersey. And I'm not a jersey guy. I think the orange jersey is unreal. I think it looks awesome. Cons, what do you think?
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. I don't like orange jerseys, though. Didn't like the Oilers orange jersey. Didn't like the Broncos, the Browns, the Bengals.
You don't like the Buccaneers?
Different color. The cream orange. I don't like it. I got to stand by it. I don't like orange jerseys. So when you go orange, the Miami Marlins did it. Did not like it. Trying to think basketball teams that might have done it in the last while here. I'm not a fan of the all orange, so I did not like it. The orange helmet, I think, is going to look goofy as well. The orange pants. The road jersey kind of gives me Oilers reverse retro vibes, which isn't as bad, but I don't like the home look for the Ducks. And I might be a minority. You like them. I know the Duke loves them, being a Ducks fan, but for myself, no, I'm not going to be a big fan of those ones personally.
What do you have against orange? What did it ever do to you? What? I don't get it. I don't understand.
I might even say it's one of my favorite colors. But
you don't like orange jerseys?
Michelangelo was one of my favorite Ninja Turtles.
God.
But when it comes to the orange jersey, I think they peaked at like the Netherlands World Cup in the early 2000s, and then some teams have tried and they haven't been able to pull it off.
What about the Flyers orange?
Don't mind that one, actually. But I prefer their black.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Ducks orange, but I will say,
who would you get? Would you get a name on the back? A little Zegras action?
God, no. I'm not a Zegras fan at all. I'd probably rock like a Teemu Selanne old school one, even though I know which is kind of weird because he never played in that jersey. So there's part of me that's like, But maybe Carlson then.
You go,
but I'm not a I
Korea or Selanne, and then I might be on board actually.
Yeah.
Niedermeyer.
Yeah, didn't play there long enough, but I guess if you're going to get the new age jersey, you probably should have somebody who's wearing it. I do think that's probably fair. So I'd have to look, but yeah, I'm not as high on Zegras as other people are. So we'll see. The other thing though, the orange helmets. Hello, I love that, but I like bright colors. So I would. I've always said the Oilers should really look at getting like a really bright, kind of deep royal blue, like the. Kind of a neon royal blue helmet with their blue jersey. I think would look awesome. Awesome. So, hey guys, getting caught up on yesterday regarding Bouchard and offer sheet. We have to keep in mind the players to sign the offer sheet before it can even get to that point. And maybe Coffey can't be the assistant GM, but he could still be the assistant to the GM. From Burglar, good office reference. No, I understand how offer sheets work. But I'm in no. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I'm in no rush to have to sign Evan Bouchard right away. And here's why. It's all about the cap. And so let's say you want to sign him to the, people are projecting $10 million deal. Right? No problem. If you sign a bridge deal for 8, do you think at the end of the bridge deal, he's going to be up to 12? Right? Do you? Look at defensemen's increment. Now, maybe Cale Makar will change that, but I don't think Cale Makar wouldn't even be up, though, by the time Bouchard's bridge deal would be up. So I have to look. If Quinn Hughes is up, then maybe that changes it. But if you're the Edmonton Oilers, there's no rush. Or like Leon Draisaitl is the first one to re-sign. And again, you don't have to do it in the first week of July. It's not going to happen because they don't have a GM. Right? That was outlined as clear as day today by Jeff Jackson. Until they have the GM in place, it doesn't see the contract extension happening because Draisaitl's camp's going to want to talk to the GM. They're going to want to know what's his vision. Now, obviously, I think it's probably going to be similarly aligned with Jeff Jackson's vision. I don't think it's going to be that drastically different, to be honest. So I think it's a little bit of a delay is the wrong word, but I do agree with them where people are like, oh my God, if he doesn't sign. Like every day goes by, some people are going to freak out that Draisaitl hasn't signed. That's just how some people are. They're worry warts. They're nervous Nellies. That's fine. But David Pastrnak, I go down the list of guys who are pending UFAs that didn't sign in July right away, 12 months before their contract's over. I don't think it's that dire, to be honest. You have lots of time. You just lost the Stanley Cup final in gut-wrenching fashion. You don't have, like, UFAs to keep them, that's different. You still have Draisaitl. You could say, you know what? You take a month off, we're going to get everything, we can talk in August. Like, honestly, I don't think nothing changes from July 1st to July 29th on the status of Leon Draisaitl, especially if you haven't really engaged in serious conversations yet. And I don't think there's a rush for either side, to be honest. 242, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you in Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hey, guys, what about a copper and blue third jersey with chrome bronze helmets as a third from Chris? Yeah, I don't like the copper and blue, so I can't give you a positive up on that. I don't really like that color. I never liked the copper and blue era. I just like the original royal blue and orange. I think that's their best color. In all the jerseys they've ever had, to me, that's the best. But I did like the orange one. But I think the royal blue and with the orange and white, that's their best. I never was a big fan of the copper and blue. Like, it's okay, but I don't know. I didn't like it. We'll come back. Sir will join us in more on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Ennio and Jason are friends.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, buddy?
Except when they talk hockey.
Mm-hmm. Edmonton had all those first overall picks, and they still can't win.
Yeah, but we still beat you. Battle of Alberta champs, baby.
But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk beef jerky.
It might be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Pick up some Wilhauk beef jerky today in Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
The basketball and hockey seasons are heating up. Baseball is just getting started, and we've got you covered with around-the-clock sports coverage. Tune in for Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. Sports 1440 has you covered.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit FountainTire.com today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
For over 65 years, Dedham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And that tradition continues with the all-new 2024 F-150. Lease one today with $1,000 down and pay just $299 bi-weekly, taxes included. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. The F-150 $299 driveway lease, only at Denham Ford and Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
What a season. What a ride. Congratulations on an incredible season from GS Construction. Whether you're a laborer, pipe layer, or pipe layer's helper, lead hand, operator, top man or woman, or water and sewer foreman, GS Construction has room for you on their team. GS Construction, celebrating 50 years of laying the groundwork of Edmonton and communities throughout Alberta. Let's get to work. Get started today at gsconstruction.ca.
.247. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Declan Cougar running things at Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. We are here on Sports 1440, Edmonton's only all sports station. It's Sports 24/7. We love it. So do you. And you know what? The NHL offseason is going to be very short. Hey, Oiler fans, 84 days. That's all. So if you're like, I need a break, it ain't going to be that long. And in the meantime, we got lots of NBA stuff. You've got the Olympics coming up this summer. How awesome is that going to be? As well as the Paralympics. You have CFL, MLB. I see Vladdy Guerrero Jr.'s name. The Houston Astros are targeting. Would the Jays trade him? He's actually been on fire hitting lately. He's starting to wake up. Like, I don't know, man. What are you just going to go and complete rebuild if you do that? I would be very hesitant if it was me to move on from Vladdy Guerrero Jr. So we'll see what happens. Let's get to our basketball report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long. LegacyHeating.ca as Paul Sir, host of the basketball show every Saturday, 10 a.m. here on Sports 1440. Joins us. Paul, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm over the hangover over the Oilers probably faster than a lot of people, but sure enjoyed the run, Jason, and now watching with mild interest as the NBA draft unfolds.
Yeah. Any surprise for you in the draft so far?
It's not a draft full of a lot of surprises. Like it's interesting to watch the draft unfold, and I think what the outcome most likely will be is there's some players that I think are going to be have long-time NBA careers. I just don't know who they are yet, and it's interesting to have a draft like that because it's so many of the players are young. Mm-hmm. So many of the players we know very little about because many are playing in foreign leagues.
Yeah.
So it's a mystery draft without Wembanyama or a franchise player that you just look at and go, wow, that's going to really have a major impact on the league.
Yeah. I think that's probably fair. If his last name wasn't James, would Bronny James even get drafted?
Not a chance in the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good athletes. Not that he's not a good athlete. He doesn't have good instincts. But when you read the draft report, the summaries are so slanted. It's like he can't shoot, but, he's got a high basketball IQ. He's athletic. But he's 6'2". He averaged 4.8 points a game last year. And, and the poor guy had a had a real serious health scare.
Yeah.
And everybody hopes he, is fully recovered and will have a long, healthy life and hopeful playing career. But, if his name wasn't James, wouldn't he want to stay at USC or go to another school and actually prove that he could play and show that he belongs, other than the fact that his dad is the great player that he is? So no, I don't see any other draft picks with his resume. I don't see anybody else with his resume being seriously considered for the draft. I'd put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, if the Lakers take him, I think that just illustrates that LeBron James has way too much say. And you'd be better off not drafting him, just sign as a free agent then, rather than you're just setting himself up for unrealistic expectations. And it reminds me, and I think anybody out there probably knows somebody, it reminds me of the parents, whether they're coaching, it's the mom coaching, the dad coaching, and they get their kid on the team only because they're the coach. And you're like, they're one of the worst kids on the team. They shouldn't be there. They're not benefiting anything. The kids know it. The players are the first ones to know who the best kids on their team are from a young age. Like it's pretty obvious for any team you've ever played on. And so, man, if I was LeBron James, I was his dad, I'd be like, whatever you do, Lakers, do not draft my son. That's what I would tell him.
Yeah, it seems like at least we've been led to believe that for the past few years, there's been this narrative that LeBron wants to play with his son, the Ken Griffey Jr. thing. Like that's been a goal of his. Now we'll see whether that goal supersedes the needs and the best interests of the team. But can you imagine having your podcast partner who's never coached before as the new head coach, and your son who averaged 4.8 points per game on your team? That qualifies as a potential distraction, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's totally fair. Looking ahead, we talked about the Canadian men's list of players, Paul, that got invited to the camp. And it's obviously the best collection we've ever seen on the men's side. And really best, even men's or women's.
Absolutely.
You look at it now, and where do you see Wiggins going? Like, what would be your starting five, and how deep is the rotation going, do you think, come Olympic time?
Well, I think the starting five, if I had to look at it today, would probably be Murray, Gilgeous-Alexander, RJ, Wiggins, and Olenek, I think. But there are so many other rotation players. There are so many other players you could put into that rotation that would be effective as well. I think it just depends on which Andrew Wiggins shows up. The Andrew Wiggins that was an all-star 2 years ago, or the Andrew Wiggins who seemed to struggle this year through a lot of personal issues, and the Warriors were a mess anyway. And Wiggins, until he kind of woke up as the season went on and got into the last third of the season, he kind of woke up, but still he was nothing even close to an all-star. So, but having said that, if Wiggins is motivated, he would be a starter, in my opinion. He's got great two-way abilities. He can score in a few different ways, and he can defend. It's just a question of whether he's motivated or not. He's always been enigmatic. Jason, throughout his career, I think we were all shocked when he was playing at an all-star level, and not so shocked when his play started to downgrade a bit. So hopefully he's ready to go and is ready to make an impact and try really hard to be a meaningful part of the team and lead the team to a podium finish.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be very exciting. Where do you see the women's team ranking?
Well, they're ranked fourth. Again, I just don't know how good they're. I just don't know how good they're going to be, because to this point, this team hasn't performed that well. They're always right there, but in my opinion, the Americans are dominant unless something completely unexpected goes sideways. The Americans should roll through the Olympics. But I think the Canadian women are as talented as any other team in the world and have every reason to feel like they should be a contender this year. for a medal because they can really play and they have a lot of talent. I think they have a really good coach, a really good coaching staff. They've had time together, except for the WNBA players, but there should be every reason for them to feel like they should be in the thick of it. Time will tell. If I had to rank 1, 2, 3, the 3 Canadian basketball teams that I felt had the best chance at medaling, I'd put the men first, the 3x3 team second, and the women's third.
Okay. Now the Plouffe sisters, of course, are in on the 3x3. Well, and how, when you look at it, 3x3 being around a while, but with every Olympics, how much more growth do you think this helps for 3x3?
Well, it should help a lot. I think, the Tokyo Olympics were such a mess in so many respects because of COVID. Things having to be bumped back a year, the effect it had on crowds being able to attend. Everything was just really chaotic. So 3x3 was probably one of the victims of that chaos where it really didn't get the attention it probably could have used had it been a normal Olympic cycle. So this will be their first real normal Olympic cycle, as I just meant. So I'm hoping, and I think the hope is that this will be the start of maybe what we could call a potential pickleball effect, where people start looking at the game and thinking that could be really fun to play and start picking up in the communities, because the world tours of events, that's growing. But what needs to grow more is the participation and the interest in the communities, more and more people playing it as a very real form of basketball, just like they play beach volleyball. I think that's probably the most valid comparison. So we're hoping that this is a real springboard for more activity in 3x3 at all age groups and all levels.
We had Germaine Buckner on in the first hour, Paul, and I asked him just like the growth of the Canadian game has expanded incredibly, which is fantastic. But obviously the men in the NBA, the women we've seen in the WNBA and in the women's game, and 3x3, it's awesome. We haven't had as much of an impact yet in Western Canada, at least for the top end players. What's the next step, do you think, for Western Canada to produce more high end players that we're starting to see from, especially in Eastern Canada? Because in hockey, we have a lot of hockey players out west, a lot of hockey players out east. How do we get more basketball players out west?
Well, I think we need better basketball coaching and better basketball opportunity to grow and develop in a serious way. Without sounding, well, no, what the heck? I will sound critical. I think what we have in the West is a schmozzle of all kinds of tournaments with the emphasis for player development on playing games as opposed to developing skills. That's even identified as a concern down in the States, Jason. In AAU basketball, Adam Silver has come out and said we have to develop better basketball players in the U.S. because kids practice very little and play an awful lot. And when you're doing that, and oftentimes, and I'll just use Alberta as an example, Alberta has a lot of tournaments, and this is in no way critical of the people who run the tournaments or whatever, but there's multiple tournaments every weekend, and kids end up just cycling through playing against the same level of competition over and over and over again. And then once in a while, they go down to the States, usually get their lunch handed to them, and then they come back up. But we do not have, like in hockey, a gold standard that I think is pulling the development of players up. Our school basketball programs have been rated by prep school programs, most of which I'm not a fan of. And so I think what we have is a lot of people running around playing basketball. I just don't think we have people focusing on what you need to do in order to play well, which is practice and develop your fundamental skill set, and de-emphasize playing so many games and emphasize developing those fundamentals. And until we do that, we're going to have the results that we have right now of Stephen Germain play for Ross Shep, Ben Cricky and Ahira Guak head down south and do really, really well. But how many other kids from Edmonton have done that over the last years? And there have been some really good players. But we, like you said, we're not building up the quality players we need. And until we reconcile that we have to spend more time on fundamental development, we're just going to end up with the same kind of participation-oriented player development programs that we presently have.
Paul, great stuff, man. What's coming up on the show this weekend?
We're going to focus a lot on 3x3. Hoop City kicks off next Friday here in Edmonton. So the women's series starts on Friday. We have our community event starting on Saturday. World Tour men's tournament on Sunday. So this weekend we have a couple of 3x3 guests. We're still waiting to hear from Jimmer Fredette. We're hoping to get him on. He and his American Olympic team will be here. And then we're waiting for Ben Golliver from the Washington Post to get on with us and talk about the NBA draft. So it'll be a great show.
Any Canadians getting drafted on day 2?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
Looking at the list, I think all of them will get chances to try out for teams, and maybe I think they all have a shot. Probably Nemhard the best shot, but they all have a shot at the G League. But I don't see any of the 3 top players that have been mentioned as being a sure thing or making an NBA roster this year.
Paul, really appreciate your time, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jason. You too.
There you go. That's Paul Sir, host of the basketball show on Sports 1440 every Saturday. If you love basketball, tune in. Very passionate about the B-ball. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour today, Sam Cosentino, we're going to get a lot of draft talk. I know Oilers fans say you don't have a pick in the first round, but second round, I don't think the Oilers are going to be trading, but it's still a lot of interest. Some local kids. Lots of WHL representatives at the top of the draft this year, which is nice. We'll get to that. TR's coming up. 4 o'clock hour, Spec, Ferguson, Livingston, and more on a busy Thursday edition of the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update brought to you by High Street Insurance. 10 years running locally owned and operated. And if you're looking for insurance for your company, it's a great place to start. HighStreetInsurance.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers and general manager Ken Holland have mutually agreed to part ways. That was announced today. Holland was named the Oilers GM and president of hockey ops in May of 2019. The 68-year-old oversaw a team that went 220, 121, and 32 during his 5-year tenure, with 4 playoff appearances and a Stanley Cup final. In 2024, the Vancouver Canucks have signed forward Dakota Joshua to a 4-year contract extension with a $3.25 million AAV, and the Dallas Stars are buying a defenseman Ryan Suter with a year remaining on his contract. Week 4 in the CFL kicks off tonight as the Edmonton Elks are out in Vancouver, taking on the BC Lions. That one gets going just after 8 o'clock from the association. The Denver Nuggets and Canadian star Jamal Murray working towards a 4-year, $209 million contract extension. Murray had one more year left on his current deal where he's making $36 million. And the Raptors have acquired Davion Mitchell, power forward Sasha Vezenkov, and the 45th overall pick from the Sacramento Kings in exchange for forward Jalen McDaniels. The 9th overall pick in 2021. Mitchell is 25, heading into his 4th season out of Auburn. The team then would select Jonathan Mogbo, center out of San Francisco, with the 31st overall pick. In the majors, the Jays in action will take on the Yankees just after 5 o'clock tonight. The Riverhawks take on the Bells once again down at Remax Field. That starts at 7:05. Copa America tonight. Panama takes on the States in about an hour. Then at 7 o'clock, Bolivia up against Uruguay. And in the WNBA, you've got the Sun and Mystics. Sky hosts the Aces. Fever take on the Storm. And one final earlier today, Wings over the Lynx, 94-88. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Sam Cosentino of Sportsnet, and we'll speed things up in the Cantork Racing Report with Colin Livingston. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
What's cracking at Cattail? Maybe you've got the next tiger on your hands. Cattail Crossing offers young golfers Operation 36, a program to improve their growing skill set with other golfers their age. To register, email proshop at cattailcrossing.ca.
Hey,
Justin or Red Wing.
If you know me, you know I'm motivated. And what motivates me? Winning. Been there, done that. What motivates me is the smell of fresh baked goodness, the kind you find at Bon Ton Bakery. As soon as you walk into Bonton,
That's
you're
it.
greeted
That's
with a
the
big
show,
smile,
Jason.
A warm welcome and the aroma. So good. The showcase of their baked goods always means trouble for me. Not just because of the selection, but the excellent fresh ingredients. That's Bonton Bakery, 8720 149th Street, open 9 to 5, Tuesday to Saturday.
Hi, Jason Gregor for Volvo of Edmonton. This summer, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC60 with 0% finance, or save up to $6,500 on select models for qualifying loyal customers. Plus a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty with all demo vehicles. And if you're thinking hybrid, save $6,000 off all 2024 new and demo XC60 Recharge plug-in models. Discover why we're Canada's only 13-time Volvo Excellence Award winner. 1205 101st Street Southwest, or visit volvocarsedmonton.com.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cblhomes.com.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing Dr. Vance Elliott for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And I'm Zach Hyman. And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes or having my goals disallowed, we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling. You know, guys used to call me a plumber, and now they call you an AC repairman. Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay. Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Come celebrate Canada Day at the ballpark with your Edmonton RIverhawks, featuring a swearing in of new citizens and performances from Brass-tastics and more. Then get a great view of Edmonton's fireworks. Get your ticket to fun and watch the Hawks play at gohawks.ca.
We continue on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. Where, hey, there's all sorts of fun promotions. Check it out all time during the summer. Had a lot of success with the Gregor 50, and we'll have some more at PlayAlberta.ca. And of course, the Edmonton Oilers will be idle, barring a surprise. Tomorrow, they do not have their first round pick, and they have the second last pick of the second round. So, which is now number 64 because there's been a pick added for compensation. I think the Flyers get the 51st pick because one of their first round draft picks didn't sign. So that's their compensation. So instead of picking 63rd, they'll actually pick 64th in the second round. As we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, and summer drink days are here right now. You can get a refreshing small fruit splash beverage for only $2 plus tax all summer long, only at McDonald's. And while the Oilers are idle, our next guest, far from it, has spent this is like the Stanley Cup for draft guys. They've been watching all the games, spending tons of times in the rinks in North America, in Europe, and all over the place, seeing some of the best 17 and 18-year-old players and who's going to be called to the podium in Vegas tomorrow night. Most of us know who the number one pick is. After that, it opens up a little bit. Sam Cosentino from Sportsnet, their draft analyst, joins us. And Sam, how you doing? Staying cool? Are you finding ways to stay cool in Vegas, or are you one of those guys who loves the 42 degrees?
No, I get out there once in a while. I've been last 2 nights locked down here in the room. We were actually just over at Sphere for a rehearsal.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it's something else. So we took an Uber over there, even though, like in Vegas, everything looks close, but it's not until you start walking,
Oh yeah.
So it's something like you're going to have to tune in to see it. Like I have no words to describe it. So it's going to be really cool, but yeah, keep them cool here. Try and slip out to the pool for a half hour for a little break amongst all the work, but it's a pretty cool venue, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
So, Sam, we look at it, everybody's mock drafts and different ones and where they think, and everybody's seen. I don't think I've seen anybody who doesn't have Celebrini at number 1. So that's kind of obvious. But how, when I look at your, at your mock draft, like how close is it for you, like to pick number 2 and number 3, right? Like how. Because you have Demidov number 2, and then you have the defenseman going number 3 to the Ducks. How close are those two?
They're super close, and so there's a couple of things you have to look at. First of all, boots on the ground for Levshunov. He's in North America. He's ready to rock and roll. If you think he's good enough after camp to bring him right into the show, you can do that. If not, you do have some level of control in terms of his development, because it's just much easier to get around here and to send guys in to help him out at Michigan State, although Adam Nightingale there has done a brilliant job. So he's in good hands there. Demidov is probably overall the more talented player, but with that comes the geopolitical situation, the contract status, which is only 1 more year, but from what I can understand, there may be some pressure to extend that. And so you're dealing with some of the off-ice and political circumstances. Having said that, you're looking at 2 teams in Anaheim and in Chicago that do have some time to play with. So really at that point, it probably just comes down to a personal preference or an organizational need. But I do think Demidov is the better player, although a 6'2" right shot defenseman at 205 pounds, they don't grow on trees.
No. Where do you come out, Sam? You've been doing this a long time. Both of these guys, number 2 and 3, they're the late birthdays. Do you find, is there any advantage at all to that? Or do you look and say, well, geez, a guy who's close, but he's a full calendar year younger, maybe I like him better? How does that come into your draft?
Yeah, so it is an interesting question for sure. I am more leaning towards the younger player. So if I'm splitting hairs between, let's say, a positional need, or I'm looking at players of similar talent, then I would lean towards the younger player. Just because there's more runway there, because you're going to have better opportunity as an organization to impact that player while he's still in a really good developmental phase of his career. But in the case of these guys, and you're picking that high up, I don't think you look at the birth date. You're just looking at simply who's the best player here, regardless of what age he is, and then continue to move forward. I do, though, think that changes somewhat towards the end of round 1, and definitely as you get into day 2, rounds 2 through 7.
Sam Cosentino joins us. Sam, you have it number 4. My first time watching him live for the Tigers this year, I was blown away. He played the old game with like the first. I'm like, oh my God, look at this kid! And it was funny. I was there with some coaches of mine, and one of them had played minor pro for many years, and he just goes, "Who's that kid? Who drafted him?" I'm like, "Oh no, he's not draft. He's draft eligible." And he was like, "What? He's only 17." I'm like, "Yeah." And at the time, actually, he had a February birthday. He is a big, strong, power forward. You've got 3 guys from the Western League in your top 10 with him. Then you have Agina and also Yakimchuk. So the WHL is going to be represented well. But you look at Lidstrom. Who does he remind you of? And I know that's hard. I don't like to compare him to players, but for our listeners who maybe haven't seen him, who could you say this? He plays a similar style as blank.
Ooh, that's a good one. Like I'm trying to think of a current guy who's like that, and so I don't want to say Tom Wilson, although this Lindstrom does have a mean streak to him, but he doesn't own the ice quite like a Tom Wilson, and I think he has better offensive upside. But you're looking at the type of player who can impact the game in a variety of ways, like Tom Wilson, because he's got size, he's got some swagger, He has goal scoring ability. He's not a one-trick pony where he's out there to be a policeman for everybody else. He has the ability to make plays. He's a really good skater, and he is that menacing figure as well. So in terms of blending that size, skating ability, and that offensive upside, what are we looking at in terms of guys that are like that in the National Hockey League right now? Well, you wouldn't say a Sam Bennett because this guy's bigger than Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose that would be a guy that you would look at, and again, probably with some more offensive upside. But then Jason, I go back to the days of watching Sam Bennett play in Kingston, and he was a high output offensive guy and a high PIM guy. And so that quite hasn't panned out for him in that regard, through Calgary and now obviously with Florida. But he does exhibit that sort of two-way ability to impact the game, either be it physically or if you sleep on him, he can make plays or score goals.
When you have the last name again, I'm sure there's going to be some pressure there in some senses, but it doesn't, the younger again, it doesn't seem to bother Tej that much at this stage. Like I've watched he doesn't, obviously he's different than his dad. You're not going to see him fight as often as his dad was. The game's just different now, but where would you come out on? There's lots of talk about him going to Calgary. Like, would that be, do you think, the best decision? I remember talking to Tyson Barrie. Now, granted, it wasn't a top 10 pick, but Tyson Barrie's dad was the owner of Tampa Bay at the time. They had him on their list. And I remember his dad talked to me, said, "Dad, please don't draft me." Right? He didn't want to go there just because of, the insinuation of it. Now, he was a later round pick, so maybe it's a little bit different. Where would you come out on that if he's there and like, would the Flames be wrong not to take him then if he's available at that point?
I think the Flames have to go down that road. You're talking about a team that's going to move into a new barn. You're talking about the ability to sell jerseys, the business side of it, the marketing side of it. And I think for Tej, like, he's been very well trained and coached by his dad, like in terms of his habits, be it eating, using rest as a weapon, getting out and doing the skill stuff, the skating stuff. Like, this has kind of been planned all the way along. And so when it comes to his personality, at least from the couple of times that I've met him, he's going to feel pressure, no doubt, but I think he's the type of kid and character that not just through the teachings of his dad, his family, but he in his own right would be able to handle that pressure.
Okay.
So it would be difficult. There's no question about it. And, not every day would be rosy, but I think the flip side of that is there is some insulation, right? You have Craig Conroy as Jerome's best buddy as the general manager. You can find ways to insulate him in terms of, hey, let's make sure Backlund's going out there and talking about him, and let's make sure that we're going to put him in good situations in the lineup where he can succeed early on. And in the case that there's media stuff that's required that Tej can't handle, then you can manage that and insulate him in that regard. But I don't think you're going to have to do any of that with this guy. He looks like he's the real deal. He's ready to rock and roll. He's been around it since he's a baby. So I don't have any concerns about that.
Sam Cosentino joins us, draft analyst for the 2024 NHL entry draft, of course, at Sportsnet, where you can read all the stuff, see him on the broadcast tomorrow night. Now you get a little bit later. What did you make of that trade today by the Sharks? Usually when you're moving up, people kind of wait as you get closer to the pick because you're like, okay, our guy's there. So they move from 14 to 11, and Buffalo gets the 14th pick and the 42nd pick. What do you make of that deal? Because that's two now we've seen of teams making trades, before the draft, Sam. I don't really see that very often.
No, you don't. And so it speaks to a couple of things. From the Buffalo perspective, they're looking at what's going to go ahead of them, and probably what would be left is a smallish forward. This moving back ability probably opens up a few more options to them in terms of acquiring size. From a San Jose perspective, I look at that as them probably having a 3-player bucket and looking at, again, what's ahead of them in the top 10 picks. And you could probably put 15 guys into that top 10. And so with that 3-player bucket, they're going to guarantee they get one of those 3 players. Who those players are, I mean, I had them mocked with Yzerman originally and still did so at 11. I think Carter Yakubchuk, if he's still around, will be a possibility. And I also think Berkeley Catton might be one of those guys. So I think they've identified those 3 players as almost guaranteeing that one of the 3 will be available at that spot by moving up just 3.
And when I saw that trade, I wonder, do they get a sense of who else is going to go? So they're like, okay, we think one of these three guys are going to be there for sure, and we're pretty happy with any of the three, so we just want to ensure we get one of them.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. And you know what? Like these guys, the general managers, the owners, the head scouts, the regional scouts, they're all looking at stuff that we do. And that's not to be arrogant, but they're getting a sense of what Corey Pronman and Scott Wheeler are doing at the Athletic, what Bob and Craig are doing over at TSN, what we're doing, Books and I at Sportsnet, and trying to come up with a consensus that kind of meshes with what their own lists are. And I think if you just take a step back from that and you followed it at all, you're probably projecting 5 defensemen in the top 10. You know for sure that Celebrini's going number 1. So now you're 6 spots down the list. You add Demidov, 7 spots, Lindstrom, 8 spots. And now it kind of opens up a little bit. Is it Seneca? Is it Ginla? Is it Berkeley Catton? Is it Yakimchuk? And so that's why I feel that 3-man bucket includes the 3 players that I mentioned to you before. And that guarantees that they're going to get one of those guys in that spot.
Now, there's not always, but there's usually a surprise, right? And then all of a sudden, somebody goes a little higher than you expect, and now everybody, whoa, we think a guy might be available now. Who do you think when you is there a player from around, like, I don't know, you mentioned the top 8. Is there one from 9 to 14 that could jump into the top 8? And who do you think's most likely?
So there's 3 names. Beckett Seneca would be number 1. Plays for the Oshawa Generals, 6'3", comes from an athletic background, really good hands and skating ability. He's one guy that I think at the start of the year was a first-round guy, but now to me he looks like a guy who's 10, who's in that 10 range. Okay. The next guy would be Stein Solberg, defenseman, left shot guy, 6'2", 210 pounds, was unbelievable, logging the most minutes for Norway at the Men's Worlds, was running their power play, and just has had this meteoric late rise and has the added benefit of the recency bias from his play at the Men's Worlds. The other guy is Jet Lachenko. He's a center, average size center, who can play all over your lineup. He can help you on the power play, PK, wins, draws, D-zone, play him up a goal, down a goal. He's another guy that, again, at the start of the year, I don't even think was in first-round consideration. About halfway through, he started to make some noise, and he's a guy now that I could see easily going inside of 15. And of those 3 guys, like, it wouldn't surprise at all if they landed in that area. I would almost guarantee 20 and above for all 3 of them, but 15 and above is not a stretch.
Does recency bias, how strong is it, Sam? And having scouted all these players, they're all still developing. Can recency bias benefit you? How can it hurt you both ways? Maybe, oh, hey, this guy's suddenly gotten better late in the year. Or, geez, he just peaked and had a really good 7 games, and maybe that's misleading. How do you balance that?
It's tough. That's a really difficult thing. And every scout will tell you that one tournament doesn't make a player. But, if you go back and that player's picked because he had a great under 18, that'll be the first thing that they point out. Well, he had 10 points at the under 18s. Yeah. So there's no doubt it plays a factor. I think the other part of that, Jason, is like, when you look at what happens in the Stanley Cup playoffs and you think about the composition and of Stanley Cup championship teams, they're all big on the back. Yes. There are lots of depth, lines 1 through 4. Your third line is playing a ton. And so that recency bias of what happens in the Stanley Cup playoffs also plays a factor. As you know, it's a copycat league. So, when LA was winning, everyone talked about size. When Chicago was winning, was talking about having that 2-headed monster on both the front and the back end. So the league goes through different phases based on what we see for the league champion and based on what you see throughout the course of the playoffs. And I think we're at a position now that size has started to come back in vogue.
Yeah, Sam Cosentino joins us. Sam, one lap for the Oilers, for their fans. Now they're picking 64th right now. You go into that range, and I know that you go that deep. Who are some late second round options that on day 2 Oiler fans should maybe start paying attention to?
All right, so we're looking at that part of the draft, and again, you're going to be running into some really interesting scenarios there. But I think about a guy like Henry Muse. He's a 6-foot defenseman, point guy, plays with the Ottawa 67s. One really interesting guy that I think might be there is this guy, Jesse Pulkkinen. So he's a fascinating guy. He's 6'6", 220 pounds. Wow. He played for Finland at the World Juniors. And he's a guy that really kind of didn't give a hoot about hockey until last off season. And Finland under 20 coach is like, dude, you're actually pretty good at this. Maybe you should start working out and paying attention to it. And so he's drawn a lot of interest. I don't know if he'd be around that late, but he is definitely a second round guy. Mikhail Yegorov's a goalie. He plays in the USHL. He's a 6'4.5" guy. He's going to stay and go to BU. And I think that path for a goaltender, especially when you're drafting one of them, is really a good path because you get that maximum 4 years worth of development.
Right.
So those are a couple of names that I'd be thinking about there. And again, I don't think you can be too picky when you get to that point in the draft. Lucas Patterson would be another guy. He's a really interesting guy who might end up in the first round, but might end up at the back end of the second. Max Massé would be another guy, but I guess there's a bit of a cautionary tale with going to the Quebec League and thinking about Raphael Lavoie and that sort of thing, because there are some qualities that are similar between the two. So there's definitely going to be names there. But you're starting to think about, well, we got to try and hit a home run here. And maybe we're not addressing, either you're going to go and address an organizational need, or you're going to say, we're going to take a player with some flaws where we know one thing pops and maybe we can bring the rest of his game along to eventually make that player an NHL player.
And last one, Rick Precy. He's been around a long time. He's now the Oilers' director of amateur scouting. We had Rick on the show yesterday, and it was excellent. You've gotten to know these guys, and everybody has, a tendency or a bias at the draft. What would you tell Oilers fans as far as, the type of players that Precy historically has liked?
Yeah, so he's, run through Colorado and he's run through Philadelphia, and he's a really kind of understated guy. I've come to know Rick quite a bit here over the last couple of years. And it's interesting when you're watching a game with him, and I don't like to bug him while the game is on, but at the intermissions, we tend to have some conversations there. And I try and pick his brain because I think he's a really intelligent guy. So I think when it comes to Rick, there are two things that probably would be the hallmark of what he's looking for. I think hockey sense is probably trumps all things.
Okay.
And I think the skating ability would be number two. But I think the hockey sense, sometimes that makes up for a half a step in terms of your skating ability.
Right.
And as you know now, you got to skate. You got to skate to play. But the hockey sense is hugely, hugely important. Things happen so fast right now. Your ability to process the game at high speeds is of paramount importance to play in the NHL.
Sam, great stuff, man. We look forward to seeing you on the Sphere tomorrow night, or in the Sphere, I should say, on TV. And I like the little teaser on what to expect. So hockey fans will be tuning in tomorrow on the broadcast. Appreciate your time as always.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Take care.
There you go. There's Sam Cosentino from Rogers Sportsnet. Good rundown. But hey, WHL fans, he's got 3 going in the top 10. And there's lots of other quality players from around not only, the WHL, but locally, you got Parasak from the Dub. I think, Basha is another guy from the Tigers. I'm trying to think, who are some of the other WHL guys that are top? Catton in Spokane. What is he, like 15th or 16th? Somewhere around there. So, you know what? WHL could have 5 or 6 guys again in the first round, maybe a few more. So still developing lots of good players and lots at the top end. I'm telling you right now, Gavin McKenna, who just turned 16 in December, he had 97 points in 61 games for the Medicine Hat Tigers. He's not draft eligible next year because he's a late birthday. He's still 2 years away. Watch him next year and just Scott, they're going to start drooling over this kid. He is so good. So really good young player. Quick break. We'll come back. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Andy Akel at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Boxing Week pricing is back at the Brick, and that means amazing end-of-the-year sales during summertime. Save up to 40% off mattresses and up to $700 off sectionals. Also, take up to 25% off dining and bedroom packages. Plus, from June 28th to July 1st, find specialty Boxing Weekend deals like mattresses starting at just $149.99. Make your dream home a reality with brand name items on a budget. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more. Think of us as the opening act for Kevin Carius. This is Jonas Knox from Fox Sports. Join me, Brady Quinn, and LeVar Arrington weekday mornings from 4 to 7. It's two pros and a cup of Joe right here on Sports 1440.
Hey, Edmonton, ready to power up your projects with unbeatable strength and efficiency? Step into Edmonton Kubota, where our massive inventory meets all your needs. From rugged tractors and loaders to nimble mowers and utility vehicles, we've got the machines that work as hard as you do. And guess what? This month, we're rolling out exclusive deals that'll make your heart race faster than our engines. Drive down to Edmonton Kubota or visit EdmontonKubota.com to discover how we can boost your efficiency, productivity, and fun. Edmonton Kubota, powering your passion with every turn of the key.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
I'm Rick Showers from Noble RV, and we're having a moving sale at our Spruce Grove store. Now, our new store in Leduc is huge, and we have room for lots more. But we have over 100 quality used RVs here in Spruce Grove, and I'd rather give you a great deal than pay a mover to take it to Leduc. Does that make sense to you, Johnny?
Makes perfect sense to me, Rick. So what's your plan?
Well, Johnny, first thing is we're going to take the moving costs off the price of every used RV in Spruce Grove, and we do accept offers. So find the perfect used RV right here. We have over 100 camping trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, tent trailers, and motorhomes. See anything you like, Johnny?
Might just keep this one for myself, Rick.
Yeah, we get that a lot, but the moving sale is for a very limited time. We have to close the Spruce Grove store in just a couple weeks. But if we happen to have what you're looking for, then it's a win for both of us.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
.332 on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. A really good breakdown there from Cosentino. We'll have a little bit more draft coverage tomorrow on the show. I know Oilers fans are like, hey, but you know what? I like these texts. Hey, Gregor, honestly, it's great not caring about the draft, but I still like hearing about it, if that makes any sense. From Scott, I think it totally does. You're still a sports fan. You're still a hockey fan. Like there's, you know what? There's going to be a dream come true for a lot of kids tomorrow. It's great. Hey, it's a dream come true to be drafted. Obviously, the next step is even harder, and that's getting in, getting into the NHL. So we'll see. Hey guys, what is the difference in the roles of Pracey and Bob Green? Well, Pracey's just above him. That's all. He's he oversees the entire scouting department. Bob Green is like the second in command. It's like you got a GM, you got an assistant GM. They're both scouting. They'll have different regions, but Pracey is the one at the end of the day. Everybody puts in your scouting reports and stuff, but somebody has to make the final decision. And trust me, I've talked to GMs, I've talked to heads of amateur scouting, and you want your scouts to be passionate, you want them to care, and you want them to put forth a real strong defense of why this is the guy they should take. But ultimately, it's up to the director of amateur scouting. Now, sometimes GMs will get involved a little bit, but not the good ones, because they know these guys have spent way more time. Like, hire people to do their job and trust them that they'll do their job well. If they don't, then you can replace them. But that's kind of the difference. Pracey is just the main guy at the end of the day. The buck or the puck stops at Pracey, shall we say. Let's get to the oil report now, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton.com, where you can get to save $6,000 on all new or demo XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And if you missed it, the CEO of hockey operations, Jeff Jackson, spoke today about Ken Holland. And first of all, he announced today, Ken Holland official, that he's not going to be there after a statement. But then did they have a plan going forward, or are they always just going to wait to the end of the season to address it?
No, like I alluded to, I mean, this was not a surprise. We knew that we were going to get handcuffed if we went far in the playoffs, because you can't be having discussions about other general managers and asking for permission from other teams while we're playing, because it's in our business. As you guys know, everything makes its way into the public realm, and Kenny and I talked a bunch of times this year about just making sure that we kept everything sort of like no distractions for the players. And I think we were totally aligned on that, and it served our players best to do it that way. So as far as a contingency plan, we knew if we had success, we were going to be pushed to the end here. Obviously, I've been formulating plans in my head, but and mapping things out with the hope that we would get really far, knowing that it would be difficult. So here we are, and I'm going to move forward over the next couple of weeks and get the things done that need to get done.
Next about was he is the acting GM, and does he have interest in being the full-time GM?
I guess I would be the acting GM. I'm going to be the one that's overseeing everything, and like I said, in conjunction with our staff. I don't have any intention of being the general manager. I have a number of candidates that I have started to reach out to. It's a difficult time for everybody. We're at the draft. People that I want to talk to are like integral parts of other organizations. So I'm anticipating that I'm going to have to be a bit patient with that and get through this next, few days. But I'm okay with that. I think that I want to do this the right way. I want to get the right person. I don't have a time frame for it. Obviously it's a priority, a big priority, and I don't want it to linger. And I don't know how long it'll take. It'll sort of be subject to my ability to talk to people when they're freed up.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? The fact that you were involved, you couldn't, hey, guess what? We're going to go and we're going to talk and we're going to have our new GM. Okay, Ken Holland leaves today and we're going to have the successor right there. Timing played a part, which is why I've said it's irresponsible. And I think it's not a good look for the NHL to have the Stanley Cup finish on a Monday and have the draft on the Friday. Like you look at Florida and Bill Zito and them and their staff, they don't even get much time to celebrate what is a massive accomplishment. It doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like they basically had one like Monday night and maybe a little bit of Tuesday, but they got to leave early Wednesday because it's from Florida all the way to Vegas for the draft. That should never happen again. Originally, the NHL had sent out dates that said Stanley Cup was going to be handed out. Game 7, final day would have been last Friday. And hey, that's a week, but it's still 3 extra days. That's a big difference. You can have the whole weekend, you have fun, you celebrate, you have their parade on the Monday, and then away you go, everybody leaves on Friday. Like the players can still party great. They're not going to the draft unless they're up for an award. But everybody else, no big deal. So I just think that's something the NHL should look at and be like, let's respect our champions enough to allow them the proper time to celebrate. I don't think that's asking too much. Right? Like, think about it being the Oilers. They had a one on the road Monday night. Okay. But then they have to fly back Tuesday, right? Long flight. And then they would have to jump on a plane to go to Vegas today. Like, I guess they would have had their parade today. Well, I know they would have had their parade yesterday, excuse me. But still, it's way too rushed. It doesn't make any sense. Now, has Florida even had a parade, Connor?
Not that I saw. I saw them at the Elbow Room. Saw them at the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, like I don't think they had
a parade yet.
No, well, I don't think they're having one.
That's wild.
Yeah. So,
boat parade.
Well, that's what Tampa did, right?
Yeah. Could you do that?
Yeah, maybe. Could have some fun with it for sure. Here, a quick one for Jackson. Then we'll get to Livingston. But hey, how aggressive, I asked Jackson, does he think he's going to be with trades and such head into the draft and then to free agency?
We're going to look at any way we can to sort of improve the team, even if it's, by a small amount. We're not going to be super aggressive and start making deals all over the place. We have obviously have a very good group. We made it where we made it. I've never seen a team that's gelled so well and then through the playoffs matured as a team sort of before our eyes. So I think to answer your question, like we'd like to bring back the team. We might like to tinker with it a little bit, make, a change here or there. Being realistic, I don't know if we'll get everybody back or not. We got to try. We've got to work around cap issues and different things like that. So we're going to be active and looking at, ways to free up money and have options for sure. Try to get it, make improvements wherever we can in the lineup. But I wouldn't say we're going to, just open the floodgates and try to do a bunch of big deals. That doesn't make any sense with the team that we already have in place and the success we had this year and the group that we have.
Well, there you go. So it doesn't sound like any significant trades, at least, hey, but that can change with the new GM. We'll get more from Jeff Jackson, who is now the acting GM, as well as CEO of hockey operations for the Edmonton Oilers. Got another big signing today. We'll get to that when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hi, Jason Gregor.
Better than 2 sizes of processed cheddar cheese served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and it's so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
Debt. Most of us have it, but it's the last thing we want to talk about. When we're struggling, we need someone to talk to. We want to be heard without judgment. My name is Parveen Middleton, and I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I talk with people about debt every day. I can help you find the solution to fit your situation. Talking about it is the first step to relief. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson here. We all know how unpredictable Edmonton weather is. Extended falls to late winters, and who knows what spring and summer will bring. Regardless of the outdoors, your indoors will be comfortable with Weiss Johnson and Goodman. Whether it's a new Goodman air conditioner, heat pump, or furnace, using our expertise, we'll give you the best quote on Goodman products with no misleading information or offers. Just what's best for your family. Visit wjcools.com today.
We roll through a busy Thursday, day 2 of the NBA draft. And Connor Halley and Declan Kruger are closely monitoring the LeBron James. I see all the rumors that, the Lakers are going to take him so then they can send a note because LeBron James opted out of his contract. Correct? So he's a UFA. So.
You want the latest from Declan, the DM he sent me?
Yeah, what?
Rich Paul is reportedly telling teams not to draft Bronny and is threatening to have him play in Australia if they do.
Yeah, they shouldn't. He's not good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
Most teams should say, well, don't worry. We weren't going to anyways.
Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, well, no, that makes sense. I would think that would be the right thing to do. And any other GM should be like, well, yeah, no problem. We won't draft him. Don't say we weren't going to anyway, but it's probably how it's probably what you should say because that's the truth. Let's be realistic here. Like I said, if his last name wasn't James, it wouldn't be discussed. And that's too bad. It's not his fault his last name's James. But I think his dad probably should have come out and said, stop trying to overhype him. And why he even came out early is beyond me. Because, why couldn't that guy make big money on nil? So, we'll see. Let's get to the racing report brought to you by Cantork. There's, nobody, maybe we'll get to a case in racing where family ties can help or / hurt you. But the racing report brought to you by Cantork, where, they got all new machining in-house capacity now, quicker turnarounds, improved quality control, and ultimate flexibility. Give them a call, 436-2000, or send an email calling at cantork.com. As there was a signing today in racing. As Colin Livingston joins us. 2 of them, in fact. Pierre Gasly staying, and Lance Stroll is staying at the place where his dad owns a team, so probably not a real surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I like physical comedy, and I want to know that this is broadcast on Oilers Nation. We're on YouTube, and I want to fall off my chair because I'm shocked at those 2 signings. Yeah, I mean, I thought there was a 50-50 chance that Lance would just kind of walk away because he's clearly been the number 2 driver almost everywhere he's been once he got to Formula One. Clearly a distant second to Fernando Alonso at Aston Martin. With only a couple of rare exceptions. Yes, he's had a better qualifying here and there, but let's not mistake if he's on the open market and Fernando Alonso is on the open market.
We know who's getting signed.
100% of the people are going to pick Alonso to drive their car. Gasly staying at Alpine, French driver with the French team, also not really much of a shock. But yeah, I mean, it's still a crazy driver's market out there.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them that aren't signed yet, and we'll kind of see where it goes. But there was another big decision in F1. Flavio Briatore, who maybe some of the people who just started watching it might not have known him, but he rejoins Alpine as their executive director. Now, he was banned indefinitely in 2008 for orchestrating the deliberate crashing of Nelson Piquet that benefited Fernando Alonso. So clearly indefinite. Well, I guess indefinitely. They just said they didn't know how long, but they didn't say forever. So he's back. This guy was in some fraud cases in the 1980s in Italy. Like the old Maya Angelou line of when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Like, why would Alpine do this? Like, why is he the only guy that they think is the best qualification for the executive director job?
What I think they're trying to do, he's almost a cartoonistic caricature of an Italian. He's like very animated, very flashy, very charismatic. Obviously very questionable when it comes to his business dealings, with his practices, with his ethics. But Alpine is owned by Renault. Obviously they're one of the car manufacturers. They're to the point right now within their own organization that they're thinking about abandoning their own engines and going to customer engines, or becoming a customer team with, right now the talk is Ferrari supplying their engines. What they're trying to do is get a little bit more attention. They're trying to shake things up a little bit. Briatore is definitely going to do that because, within days of him being announced formally of being part of the team, now they're trying to make this big push on Carlos Sainz, try and bring him into the fold. Again, he's kind of the linchpin right now for the remaining drivers who are out there to be replaced, to be, I think there's going to be a little bit of musical chairs. Realistically, probably out of the 7 drivers that are left unsigned, I'm going to say half of them won't be back next year, which means there's going to be opportunities. Right now it's looking like Danny Ricciardo, not to change topics, Briatore, everyone needs to keep their eyes on him. They're at some point in time going to pull some shady stuff that's going to get them in trouble, because that's just who he is. As you said, when people show you their true character, believe them. I think at whatever they call it now, the Racing Bulls team, the RB, the junior team to Red Bull. Looks like Daniel Ricciardo is really on the fence as to whether or not they're going to re-sign him. We already know Yuki Tsunoda has extended his contract. Helmut Marko, our favorite guy in the world of F1 for, his thoughtful and considerate comments, basically out and out said, the RB, the Racing Bulls team, is the junior team. This is where they need to be developing drivers to eventually get up to the Red Bull level, to the top team. They really want to find an opening for Liam Lawson. They know if they don't get him into a car, they're going to lose him. They don't want to lose his rights. They've had a really terrible developmental record, with the exception of Verstappen. The last bunch of years, they've had Alex Albon, they've had Carlos Sainz. They've had a number of drivers that have come through and just washed out immediately racing beside Verstappen. Hopefully they take this in the right way, which will mean, I don't know if Ricciardo getting punted out of the RB seat means that his career is over in Formula One, or if he can, land one of the other seats. He would probably be perfect at the Sauber operation. He's saying he knows if he can, kind of execute over the next few races, it's going to open everyone's eyes, because they're looking for, success. They're looking for good finishes. They're looking for, something positive to build this on. But we'll see. Very, very chaotic right now.
It is. Also, Max Verstappen and Red Bull, they have 14 races left, but they don't have any engine. You get 4 engines.
Yeah.
And they've just put his new one in. So on average, so if you say that you get 4 engines for the year, shouldn't you have one every 7 races, give or take? Average
6 to 7. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say this one does last that. That means minimum he'll have one more. Now, is it a 10 or 5? What's the grid penalty?
It depends what it is. If they have to change the power unit, I believe it's 10. If they have to change the turbo, it's something. If they have to change the electric hybrid unit, there's all kinds of things. But we're 10 races in and they're on number 4. That's just under 3 races per engine with what they've got right now. Now, it's not like the next engine is going to be that much better than the previous engine. So the pressure is already on Red Bull for sure. You know, they've admitted, I think we can see that McLaren is the faster car. Norris just hasn't been able to execute the way he needed to. Mercedes is coming on. Ferrari is likely going to bounce back. So this championship is actually not over in Formula One, especially if Max has to, if he can qualify in the pole, but he still has to start 10th or 11th and come up through the field where these other faster cars are going to be starting, P1, P2, row 2, row 3. It's gonna come down towards the end of the race for sure, or the end of the season, to figure out where this championship's going to go.
Well, what it does, it makes a lot more people probably want to watch, because there's a chance now as they go along that McLaren, who I think would probably be their best option right now, to possibly. Now, when was the last time McLaren won?
Oh, geez. It would have been with Lewis in 2008.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
So that would be huge for them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Looking at now the triple header that started in Barcelona now, right? It's back to back, which doesn't happen very often. What's the biggest challenge here then? Because I know you've done this in racing, but what's the biggest challenge where the 3 weekends in a row they just don't do it very often? Is it like the playoffs somewhat? Is it a war of attrition? Is there a breakdown? Is there a wearing down of the driver, but maybe more the vehicle?
The drivers would be fine. Okay. They're, to get in the car, to do their thing, have a week between races is no big deal. They're built like this. If you think, relate it back to hockey, you were talking about, the team having to fly back from Florida, getting 1 day parade and then flying down to the award ceremony. They do that pretty much throughout the entire season anyway. You're in one city one night, you travel to the next, later that night. That's not a big deal. Getting from Spain to Austria is no big deal. It's a challenge for the teams though, because they're doing everything by ground now, to have to load. You've got your advanced team that's going to get there, set up hospitality, try and get the garages ready to go. That can, again, like we talked about last week, if you don't have trouble in the race, it makes life so much easier. But if you're repairing damage and having to fix things, then it's by the end of the stretch, and they only get a short break before we have 2 more races before the summer break. So I think we're doing 5 races in 6 weeks. By the time they get to that summer break, they're definitely going to need it.
Okay. Colin Livingston joins us in the Can Torque Racing Report. What do you make of the track this weekend? How good track, bad track, passing track? What is it?
Interesting for sure. This is the Red Bull Ring. Most famous for some of the turn 1, turn 3 crashes. Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg made contact there, took each other out. A number of very, very aggressive passes around the outside the last couple of years. Definitely can pass, especially when you get onto the back straightaway with a good run. It's a DRS zone. Should be a fun race. It's not all that complicated of a track, but high speed again, lots of, high and middle speed corners. So, the teams that have been up front should still be up front.
Okay. What about you look at the Constructors Series and it's Red Bull, and even Ferrari's probably closer right now than McLaren is, but that race might be, just as important to watch. There's huge money there involved, right, to win, and Ferrari, depending on what happens this weekend, heck, they could pass them just based on this weekend alone.
Theoretically, but the teams aren't really going to be able to change a lot. Like, yeah, there might be some upgrades coming, but the teams that are rolling, because it's so much racing in such a short period of time, by the time we get to the summer break, is like there's still 4 more races before that, and a lot is like McLaren should assert themselves as the bona fide number 2. They could be nipping at number 1 because Perez for Red Bull isn't really doing a lot to contribute. If Mercedes keeps going the way they're going, where they're finishing on each other's heels between Lewis and George, they can start closing the gap. So, I mean, it's finally getting interesting.
And lastly, huge weekend locally here for the Carters. It's your largest event of the summer. There's cash prizes going on. Tell us about it. What's happening? How many Carters coming in?
Sounds like as of last night, we got almost 140 entries. So
really?
It's not just our group. This is the entire. Is everyone at EDKRA. Normally, our group races on Wednesdays. We're getting part of the big package. So we race tomorrow night. EDKRA out in Warburg. Within an hour of the city, everyone's welcome to come out. Free admission. It is great racing, but it's also one of our most fun events because there's, normally we just kind of show up, we focus on racing, we go race. This is, it's a bigger deal event, and I think it's $1,000 to win in each class. Pole and Super Pole has some cash awards, so you can do okay. I mean, it still costs money to enter, but there's music at the end, there's great awards, everyone's always in a great mood. It's something we look forward to all year. Hopefully we can get a few people out to watch us, cheer us on. By all means, come and find me if you're out at the track. Really simple, just enter EDKRA into Google Maps and it'll take you right into our parking lot. Just don't drive on any of the paved surfaces. That might sound like a joke, but they're only intended to wheel carts on, not cars.
Yes. No, that's that wouldn't be ideal. So look forward to that. When's it start? Friday, tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, track will be open for practice most of the day. We start our official practice at 5. Qualifying will go from 5:30, and we should start our first heat by about 7 p.m. Expect to be done by about 9 o'clock. In between our sessions, I think other groups will have chances to practice. There's some other groups that are qualifying tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't seen the final schedule, but we do have a food truck on site, so you don't have to necessarily worry. You're welcome to bring your own food, bring a couple of drinks. No alcohol anywhere near the racing surfaces. We will all probably try and steal it if you have an alcoholic beverage, just because we're prone that way. Wait till the racing's over, and then we can all enjoy a drink together. But it's a lot of fun. We, the club does such a great job at making sure that we've got every class sponsored. We've got, lots of additional prizes. The track gets cleaned up. Not that it's ever really messy, but every blade of grass is perfect. Lots of new banners, and it's just one of our more fun events.
140 racers should be a lot of fun. Keep it on the track.
That's always plan number 1.
There you go. That's Livingston and the Racing Report, brought to you by Cantork. Let's get to the comment and a sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire. More than just tires. Now, if you need tires, say you want to put some new summer rubber on, they got that. But you got any issues with your vehicle, go to fountaintire.com and they can help you out.
This is a sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers and GM Ken Holland have mutually agreed to part ways. Holland was named the Oilers GM and president of Hockey Ops back in May of 2019. He oversaw a team that had a record of 220, 121, and 32 during his 5-year tenure. That will lead to 4 playoff appearances and 1 Stanley Cup final appearance in 2024. The Vancouver Canucks have signed forward Dakota Joshua to a 4-year contract extension with an AAV of $3.25 million. And the Dallas Stars buying out defenseman Ryan Suter. Stars will save $2.87 million with the buyout. It'll leave a cap charge of $1.43 million on the books for the 2025-2026 season. In the NBA, the Denver Nuggets and Canadian star Jamal Murray working towards a 4-year, $209 million contract extension. Murray had 1 more year left on his current deal where he'll make $36 million. And the Toronto Raptors have acquired point guard Davion Mitchell, power forward Sasha Vezenkov in the 45th overall pick selection in the draft from the Sacramento Kings in exchange for forward Jalen McDaniels. With the 31st pick, the team did select Jonathan Magwo, center out of San Francisco. Major League Baseball today, the Blue Jays taking on the New York Yankees. First pitch set for 5:07 at the Rogers Center. 3 games underway right now. Into 7th, the Twins lead the Diamondbacks 13-5. Cubs and Giants tied at 3 apiece in the 9th. And in the top of the 8th, the Braves trail the White Sox 1-0. The Edmonton RIverhawks wrap up their series with Bellingham tonight. First pitch set for 7:05 down at Remax Field. At Copa America, we're only 5 minutes in, but the United States taking the early lead. Weston McKennie with the goal, 1-0 over Panama. Later tonight, Uruguay takes on Bolivia. Kickoff at 7 from MetLife Stadium in Jersey. And in the WNBA today, we have 4 games, 1 final. The Wings defeat the Lynx 94-88 earlier today. Still to come, Mystics host the Sun. You got the Aces heading to Chicago to take on the Sky, and the Storm host the Fever. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by our co-host, Terry Ryan. Hear Ryan's rant and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So, who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one down, better than 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and it's so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
Mr. Ruther does a TED Talk.
Thank you for coming today. Let's talk about it. Pressure. Everyone in this room feels pressure.
We continue on. Jason Gregor.
About pressure. I'd rather feel too much pressure than not enough. You know why? Because low pressure often means you have corroded pipes, impaired water lines, or a calcified shower head. And who needs that? I'm Mr. Ruda, and this has been my TED Talk.
For an inspirational plumber, call Mr. Ruther.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Rule number 33. White shirts attract stampede mustard like magnets. Maybe just bring a spare. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules, and if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The Cheesy Burger Pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the Cheesy Burger Trio or choose between the large Cheesy Burger Pizza for $18.99, Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99, and Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before
there you go. That's Livingston. And the Racing Report brought.
Better get you some Cheesy Burger Pizza at Papa John's.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
For over 65 years, Dedham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And that tradition continues with the all-new 2024 F-150. Lease one today with $1,000 down and pay just $299 bi-weekly, taxes included. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. The F-150 $299 driveway lease. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Edmonton Stingers basketball face the Saskatchewan Rattlers Monday, July 1st at the Edmonton Expo Center. Enjoy affordable family fun with a $5 food and drink menu and free parking. Tickets start at just $20. Visit thestingers.ca/tickets.
For 11, welcome back. And it is the Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game, and it's Thursday, baby. A grand day for the next 20 years. Ooh, not a bad deal. Get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca. Pretty sweet. Also, Lotto Max tickets. Get those, 28 million tomorrow. And it just happened. The LA Lakers have indeed drafted Bronny James. So good luck to him. Yeah, you know what? I get the understanding you want to play, LeBron James. And hey, by the way, LeBron James, obviously it's, he's a absolute athletic marvel in how he's still producing this long. It's unbelievable, really, what you've seen. But moves like this, man, like if this was like Mark Howe and Gordie Howe, it's unreal. I really hope Bronny James can play, but based on what he did in college, the odds are going to be pretty low, I will say. Let's welcome to the program former high draft pick of the Montreal Canadiens, 8th overall, actually, in 1995, two-time author, now stars as Ted Hitchcock on Shoresy, Season 3, Episode 6 tomorrow or 7. I'm not sure. He'll know. TR, how you doing? Is it 6 or 7 tomorrow night?
It's 6.
6, okay. Oh, I was right. Well, there you go. So, nice. How you doing? Have you recovered for the draft? Not the draft.
Game 7,
no, from Game 7.
I don't know if you have yet. Have
Yeah.
you? The draft.
No.
Game 7.
Yeah, Game 7.
I'm getting there. A different change of pace. I'm in Gander, Newfoundland right now. My daughter's got her under 14 Atlantic Soccer Championships. It should be good. But the next day too, Gregor, I like our flights got all screwed up. I didn't get home. I was in transit the entire next day. Got stuck overnight in Montreal, and ended up mid-afternoon just yesterday. So it was a long run, and the party was a big one. So yeah, I'm just recovering.
Yeah. Well, hey, buddy, that's how it goes. What did you make of Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final?
That's a lot to unpack. What did I make on the ice? It seemed like Florida had a bit of a stranglehold on the offense of the Oilers. I don't know. I wish I had seen 4, 5, and 6 live. I guess anybody can say that, but I just wish, because those look like I didn't see many moments of offensive dominance. That there might have been a couple of flashes, but just not as much in the other games. Obviously. But I don't know. I got emotional. I like the vibe. Like the vibe is an understatement. I was saying on here on Tuesday. It was just, I found it a big celebration of hockey. I think when people booed McDavid, first of all, do you expect the roof to come off the building when McDavid gets MVP and doesn't come out? I mean, I got no problem with him not coming out at all. But I'm saying it wasn't that big of a deal. To me, it took away, because people online, and you see these Florida fans and they're so disrespectful. That's really a generalization. And it's also monkey see, monkey do in a lot of these situations. It's crowd mentality or whatever. When we were outside, man, right leading up to everything, there was Florida fans, there was Edmonton fans. It seemed like everybody, for the most part, was coming together in unity. It gave me goosebumps. There was people from, 2 guys approached me on the beach the morning of the game from Cuba that had just come over. They'd only been in the United States for 2 years. The guy said, all I have is Hulu. So he knew what shores he was, and he knew the Panthers were in the final, and, was very interested. There was other people that had never been out. They were born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, and they could tell you Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' stats the last 5 years. And that, I know these are anecdotal, but you saw it. I saw it. I mean, before the game, coming out the tailgate with Oilers fans, I was with all the Oilers guys, fans, and people were giving us hugs and talking about how versus or. And I was just blown away by the celebration of hockey of it all.
Yeah, it was. You know what? My experiences there with the fans was equal. Hey, you know what? Is there going to be a few idiots? Of course, just like there's a few idiot Oilers fans. It happens in every market. But I think the vast majority of them were great people. I spoke to said the people around them, you know what? Were it was an intense game. It's a 1-goal game the entire game, right? It was 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, and it remained that way. Like it was never really in doubt. No one could really relax either fan base, and came right down to the wire. And you know what? I think that's what you'd want in a Stanley Cup final, except if you're the Oilers, because obviously they didn't like the outcome. And now they'll go into the summer. A lot of their veteran guys, Brown, Janmark, Henrique. I look at Foegele and Desharnais are probably the 2 guys that I think are the least likely to come back. Not because the organization doesn't want them, just because from the business standpoint and the salary cap and what potentially they could get offered on the open market.
Well, I agree. And Desharnais is a big right-hand shot, young guy. I mean, I think, and Foegele, I think, can give somebody. He'll be equally as important wherever he goes. But Desharnais, I don't see him lasting. And you look, but that happens on teams that go for it, right? If you just got to move a few pieces around, because that's going to happen to Florida. It happened to Tampa. It happened to Vegas. It happens to every year to every team that wins. That's the nature, especially now of the game and the contracts and the salary cap and all that. But if I was the Oilers, I know this has probably been said, but I'd be real proud. That was a bounce, and I wouldn't. I don't think if I'm the Oilers that the problem is in the personnel that you have. Even guys during the year that were being questioned, like Connor Brown, really stepped up. The best players did. They were playing through injuries. Skinner really came out of an early semi-hole. It's unfortunate. The reason I feel for them is because they went to the maximum limit. They went 7 games in the final.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to be thinking as a player that you're mentally and physically just as beat up as the other team. And it wasn't even 8-1 in the final. It was a flip of a coin. But you don't get a Stanley Cup ring. And some players, I really don't know who. I'm not. But when people question players that go to teams that don't win, they just think about that. There are players out there that sign and you go, why would he sign with? Well, they've been off for 3 months. And I'm not saying I would ever do it, but I really think the season goes too long. If I'm the NHL, I got June 27th in Miami, man. It wasn't getting much hotter on the surface of the sun. Not that it's about heat. It's always going to be hot down there. It's June 27th, man. It's July or whenever it is. It's July in a few days. I just find for the teams like the Oilers here, this is my example, they don't get rewarded, and they just went all that time. And at some point, like if you're the Panthers, you just went back-to-back years the distance, right? Think of the teams like LA. I think when they went back-to-back cups, I think they might have missed the next year or came close to it. I don't have analytics in front of me here, but I know that there are teams. Chicago was another one. Like you can only go all the way so much and play 22 of 24 months or whatever it is. It's hard on the body and everything. Now, just that one team gets rewarded and one doesn't, it'd be a whole lot easier for me to sit back at my cabin or wherever they go in the off season and enjoy it if I'd won the Stanley Cup, as opposed to going the exact same distance and doing the exact same things, and just not getting rewarded. It got to be frustrating.
Oh God. Yeah. I could I can imagine wholeheartedly. I know we've talked about the draft. There's a guy who, had a lot of hype leading up to the draft, and there's lots of activities. And, in 95, it was a big deal. It's, it's here in Edmonton. They fly everybody in. You have all the last minute interviews and such like that. The final day, were you interviewing guys like on the morning of the draft? Even, Terry, if you recall, was it always the night before? I know we've talked about some of the odd questions, so I don't want to revisit that one, but kind of the timeline for the kids now. And, was your agent there kind of, holding your hand step by step along the way, encouraging Kate, go here, do this, do that? How did it work?
I saw my agent in September. I think the next time I saw him was after the draft. I don't even think I saw him.
What?
I'm serious. No, I didn't. It was Gretzky's agent too, Mike Barnett. And you know what's funny? Look, Barney got me great money and I got drafted where I did it. So it's not like he didn't do his job, but it's funny. Side note, a few years later when I didn't go back to camp and I was holding it and I told him, so I'm not saying it was his advice. I just said, I hate Terry and I really don't want to go back. Mike, people are getting traded and they're becoming stars. I really think I can be at least a fourth liner in the NHL. Can you please get me traded? He said, no problem. Work on it. If you don't want to go to camp, don't do it. Okay. Now, again, I'm not blaming. I'm not anything. I'm just telling you a few months later when I wasn't traded yet and I was in Utah, I was in Long Beach, I was bouncing around. I signed a contract with the St. John's Maple Leafs, just an independent deal. And when I called again, I go, what gives here? Like, do teams want me or what do you? And he said, you know what? I think you should make the move to left wing. He thought I was a centerman and I was a left winger. How's that?
Yeah. So safe to say your agent wasn't really invested in your career.
No, he was just very distant. He was good. He got me good money, and I'm not. And he got me a hockey card deal, and got me notoriety, and he did everything an agent should do. I'm in no way trying to put it. We fell into this conversation. I often don't tell it because I don't want it to feel like someone tripping over their bottom lip. I thought it was just a funny thing. But anyway, during the season though, there was lots. Again, I don't know where I was rated at the beginning or where Lankow was rated. Boucher wasn't even in the league yet. He was playing junior A, so he was probably not rated. But I know it wasn't like top 10 picks. I know that. And it was a lockout year. So it was hard to stand out because all these players came back that would have been in the NHL. I don't know, Rob Niedermeyer, Jeff Friesen, you go OHL, Daig came back, Brian McCabe, whatever, Darcy Tucker possibly. But they had that team in Red Deer that was unbelievable. We didn't have a chance. I was fourth in the league in scoring. Lanks won the scoring. He was in first place. He didn't get invited to camp, right? For good reason. It was a lockout year. So anyway, but when we started to light it up amongst that, there started to be like good old phone calls back then, right? So, but the phone was ringing off the hook. Teams flew us down, some of them during the year. They came to see us. As soon as the year ended, I flew in to see Dallas, Washington. I flew to Toronto to do like IQ tests. I can't see it being too much more mentally strenuous then than it is now. If it got like a lot of the physical stuff, but even then people think we weren't working out. We were, it just wasn't as specific and sports specific. And the nutrition mightn't have been, I knew chicken and rice. I didn't know, the supplements and stuff, but, there was a lot. And the last two, I got some stories at the draft. People know the Milbury story that happened like the night before. That's why my agent phoned me. I didn't see him again. He phoned me. And he said, if you can do me a favor, I got two more. If you can do New York and Tampa Bay. Now, the funny thing about it all, and I did it. The boys were gone. I was the last one to do this. Was like, I remember thinking, everybody's waiting for me over at Cowboys. And well, actually where I saw Struddy the first time, I told you, he had red pants on and like, they were like, they were blood. High. They were, what do you call those?
High-waisted?
Yeah, they were very high-waisted. And they Michael Jackson, like, video when he does the moonwalk. He had white socks on. Back when it wasn't, like, retro cool. He was just doing it. And I just remember that it stands out to me some reason. But anyway, the next day we get to the draft. So I believe there was 26 teams in the league at the time.
Yep.
I believe. And I remember counting them, and I remember going, oh, look at that, Lanks. Like 22 or 23 teams interviewed me. Like it was all but one or two. I know Detroit didn't. The only other team I can think of that didn't, there was probably one or two more, but the only one I can think of that didn't was Montreal. I got into the elevator to go to my seat for the day of the draft. Doug Robinson, their head scout, is with Pierre Mondu right next to me. They say, great year. You can fight. You can hit. Western Leaguer. We love it. great memorial cup. And I went, until that point, I went, what? And my dad was next to me. He said, he thinks you're Shane Doan. And I said, oh. I said, yeah, thanks a lot, man. I had a great year. Look forward to maybe seeing you guys soon. He said, if we got anything to do about it, yes. I went down to my seat, so I said, they're picking Doan. And then Doan went 7th.
Yeah.
So I thought, there's no way. I talked to Boston, and again, I remember it's not about, your family lineage or anything, but just the name Ryan and with the way I played. And I told them my favorite, one of them was Cam Neely.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they were big on that. And they told me, they said, if you get drafted here, we're going to have you in the NHL. You'll play at least 40 games, even if you're not ready. We'd rather you practice here. And that's exactly what they did with the 9th pick, Kyle McLaren. Because of all of us, he was like 6'4", like 170.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, huge, but he was like built like a greyhound at the time. Not saying he didn't deserve it at all. I'm just saying that's what they went with. So, and then Florida went 10th. 11th was Iginla. And I know it becomes now a little bit of not an urban legend, but it's a funny anecdote. Terry went ahead of Iginla, but at the time, like, I knew I was going to Dallas. If nothing else, I knew it. I knew it. I was going 11. Craig Button told me that. They were very high on me. And like 3 days before I left to go to the draft, I flew to Toronto, like last minute. I flew there at 6 a.m. and I flew home at noon. I just met their head psychologist in the airport, and he took me in and gave me like maybe 2 hours of questions, everything from like a train is leaving from point A at this hour and point B at this hour. When are they going to intersect? All kinds of stuff. And I left there, and he said, it's exactly what I thought. We'll be in touch. And I just really thought I was going to Dallas.
It is interesting how, you had your agent maybe not as invested. You had a team that's like, hey man, you're doing great. And your dad's like, they think you're Shane Doan. And you and Doan are, no offense, like, you guys don't look at all alike. No, like
I think I just triggered his memory as a Western League power forward.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. So it's not necessarily the best scouting either, if you don't even know what the guy looks like. So I think it's improved a little bit today. I would hope, maybe not, but I would hope.
It was if there was anything, I think 3 or 4 years into my career, it might have seemed tiring and monotonous. And after it was all over, I definitely realized but at the time, there was also an element that I'm going into visit. I'm going to get interviewed by Phil Esposito. Like it was still like going around. Like I was excited to meet like Garth Malarchuk. Like, so I remember it being tiring, but like I was super pumped for most of it because I was like,
oh God, yeah.
I was meeting NHL players and owners and stuff,
Yeah, it should be a big deal. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440. We'll come back. We got Ryan's rant, 5 questions. We'll hear from Speck. Also talk a little Elks and Lions and more on a busy Thursday edition of the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
What are you doing in here?
Well, last month you were giving shit away, so I just thought I would see if you were still giving shit away in June.
Stop swearing. And yes, we are still giving shit in June at St. Albert Dodge. Take our 2024 Durango, was $64,500 and now just $52,900. Need a new Ram 1500 4x4 crew cab? We've got it. Originally $63,700, now just $44,900.
See, you're still giving away.
Kevin, stop swearing. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
This is Paul Sir, host of the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. Every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon, we cover local, international, professional basketball right here on Edmonton's exclusive home for sports talk.
Boxing Week pricing is back at the Brick, and that means amazing end-of-year sales during summertime. Save up to 40% off mattresses and up to $700 off sectionals. Also, take up to 25% off dining and bedroom packages. Plus, from June 28th to July 1st only, find specialty Boxing Weekend deals like mattresses starting at just $149.95. Make your dream home a reality with brand name items on a budget. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's. Johns.
AccuSteel heavy haul trailers have been providing highway and off-road custom trailers for over 25 years, bringing you innovative solutions for unconventional problems. They're your industry leader in engineered heavy haul trailer frame repairs, retrofits, rebuilds, and custom trailer fabrication. When you need to haul the largest machinery on the planet, they can do it with a premium engineered heavy haul trailer made right here in Alberta. They're 100% family owned, treating you like part of the family. Trust the experts at AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers. Learn more at accusteel.ca.
Hey, Edmonton sports fans, my name is Jonas Knox. I host Two Pros and a Cup of Joe for Fox Sports weekday mornings from 4 to 7. Brady Quinn and LeVar Arrington join me, and hopefully you will too, right here on Sports 1440.
Embrace the drive at GMC. Right now, lease the 2024 Terrain SLE from $199 bi-weekly. That's like $99 weekly at 5.9% for 24 months with $3,350 down on an ultra-low-kilometer lease. Get out to the best views with a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine and listen to all your favorite tunes along the way with available Amazon Alexa built in. Or maybe even no tunes at all. Visit your local GMC dealer for details.
Rolling through. Man, this day is just flying by. It was a little rainy off and on today. I don't know if the rain stopped. We're in the mall here in the Ewell studio, EWEL.ca, your partner in power. Of course, they've been supplying the City of Champions in Alberta quality electrical gear since 1979. Get yours at EWEL.ca. As we continue on, Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, lots of texts flying in, 833-401-1440. Hey guys, who do you think is going to give Desharnais big money? Well, I don't know about big money, but I won't be surprised if Desharnais gets a contract offer of, a multi-year deal. I could see a team trying to line him up and say, hey man, we'll give you some security. He's never really had security. What if he gets a 4-year deal at like 2.5? Oh, I won't be shocked, to be honest at all. So like you're 6'7", you're a right shot defenseman who played on a team that made it all the way to the conference final where he was playing, right? And then I know he played one game in the Stanley Cup final, and wasn't awful by any stretch of the imagination, right? It's just Philip Broberg played really well. Nothing wrong with that. So there's lots of teams that would be interested in him. Him and Yanni Hakanpää, I think both of them are two guys that are going to be sought after by other teams in free agency. Let's get to Ryan's Rant, TR's Tales, brought to you by Action Electrical. They are the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions and projects and service and preventative electrical maintenance and all energy, solar, or EV. Learn more, book yours today at actionelectrical.net. Here's Terry Ryan.
Well, I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, but to pick up on what we were saying earlier, the vibe down, and it really was a vibe, to say the least, at Game 7. A lot of people came together when I got down there. I know that I traveled with 3 buddies from Newfoundland while they were living in Alberta. But that was my group, and to see the Sandman down there and so much unity and love and the Chicklets guys, and to see you fellas, it was overwhelming, and it was a lot of fun. But I feel like I got to say something, because it was a big party and it was awesome. But I thought about it, and same thing when I came home. I talked to my dad about it. Since the Growlers game, there's a lot of maybe kids that follow me. And when I was with the Chicklets guys, and we got so bamboozled, and it's almost like an alter ego when we go over for the camera, and I think there's a fine line between funny and entertaining and loud and obnoxious, and it's really kind of a fine line to tread, especially when you're rolling with those guys. So I suppose the next day when I saw the videos and stuff, I was so disappointed with myself. Now, I had a great time. It didn't really represent everything because, again, it's almost, what's the word? It's very much magnified, but we're almost, again, stepping out of ourselves. And it didn't really represent the vibe, first of all. And second of all, I couldn't believe how many Shoresy fans that I met down there and how many Tales with TR fans. And I mean, I never really think about those things. So I suppose if there are people out there that aren't of drinking age and you're following me, I kind of misrepresented myself there. And I've never really been embarrassed or like the type to just regret things. I'm like, well, you learn from your mistakes, but I don't want to say necessarily a mistake. I do drink responsibly. The next time I have a beer will likely be next weekend when I go to Prince George. Like not that I'm trying to justify anything or myself, but now that there's kids watching, and especially since that game, my dad's like, since the Growlers game, you're kind of an inspiration. I don't see it like that. I don't look at myself like a celebrity. I'm going around. I just looked at that like I was a fan and it was a big party. But I think personally, like any hockey player that learns from your mistakes, I just think if there's kids out there, even if you're an older kid, you got to realize that, when I see the Chicklets people, it's like it's at a Game 7 or a Chicklets Cup, but that's not the way we act all the time. And I got to be more conscious of that. And I guess not to be selfish about this whole rant, but there's probably people out there that feel the same way, like you and it doesn't necessarily have to be being drunk, but if it's social media and you're quick to do something or post something, or if it is partying or whatever it might be, I guess be aware of it and how it affects other people. Now, I want to say this. People texting me have been great. I haven't heard anything bad. I just saw it myself, and I'm like, it's not like a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old would, and they're going to stumble across Shoresy and Spittin' Chicklets at some point soon, with just the way the world is now. And I kind of want to say that, listen to me on here. Listen, if you're going to watch me on there, listen to me on here, read my book, or listen to Tales with TR, and I promise you'll see a lot more insightful content. And outside of that, I also, will be smarter about my Spittin' Chicklets appearances. But, again, I'm not apologizing so much as because we had fun, Jason. I just want anybody that's underage or even iffy about drinking or any substance or whatever you do or partying, then, I guess I should say that doesn't really represent who I am every day. And I feel I was more ignorant and obnoxious than funny and entertaining. So there you go.
No, that's fair. The other thing I would always say is who's ever running the camera, give guys a note that say, hey, you're going to be on camera. If you don't want to be on camera, let me know. And
it used to be just a big open camera hanging over the boy's shoulder.
Yeah.
Now it's just a phone that like sticks up behind the end of the seat. You don't even see it. It creeps around the corner like Buster Bluth. And I'm like, did you guys tell me the camera was on? What's going on here? But anyway, and I'm not blaming them. The whole thing, when you're with them, you just got to realize it's all content, right?
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's totally fair. So I get it. I did laugh though when you said that. That was an ice cube, not a hookta on business.
Oh yeah,
that was
exactly.
That was good. This just coming down. Tyler Myers. The Canucks have been busy. They made the Mikheyev trade yesterday to free up some cap space. Dakota Joshua. They have inked to stay in Vancouver on a contract. They also have signed now. They got Dakota Joshua for what they get 4 years at 3.25. And then just signed Tyler Myers for 3 years at 3. Now, Tyler Myers, I know a big reason he liked it there for sure. People are like, wow, he could have got more in the open market. I think people need to understand he has a special needs son who gets unbelievable care in Vancouver. And that was very important for him and his family. So I think sometimes people need to see it's not just about money for everybody all the time. Well, they got this guy at this. Well, there's always other circumstances when you're a dad and you're looking. I'll take way less money if I know my son's going to get the best care that they need. So that's part of it. And so I do think that the Canucks are going to be trying to make a push for Gensel if he gets to free agency on Monday. So watch for that one as well. I won't be surprised at all. All you got to do is look at Jim Rutherford and see. So see where it goes. 4:40. It's a Gregor Show alongside Connor Halley, Terry Ryan with you. We'll come back. We got 5 questions and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Jason Gregor for Volvo of Edmonton. This summer, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC60 with 0% finance or save up to $6,500 on select models for qualifying loyal customers. Plus a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty with all demo vehicles. And if you're thinking hybrid, save $6,000 off all 2024 new and demo XC60 Recharge plug-in models. Discover why we're Canada's only 13-time Volvo Excellence Award winner. 1205 101st Street Southwest or visit volvocarsedmonton.com.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
What's cracking at Cattail? Their men's league. Play 18 holes for 18 weeks on Tuesdays from 2 to 6 p.m. Then complete the day and head to Out of Bounds. Recently ranked one of Canada's top 10 in fine dining restaurants. For details, visit cattailcrossing.ca.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling Jingle auditions take 1 for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Are you ready, guys?
We were born ready. Heck yes, Nuge. Drop the beat. Legacy, Legacy. We freaking killed it, Nuge. That's what I'm talking about, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Nice guys. We're going to sell a lot of air conditioners.
Hey, doesn't Legacy offer no payments and no interest for a year on those?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the assist on the copy points there, Nuge.
It's just what I do.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing Dr. Vance Elliott for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
There's nothing worse. Family's all excited to hit the highway and suddenly you remember, I forgot to replace that broken tail light. No worries. We've got you covered here at Vision RV. Hi, it's Larry Ricci reminding you that we have the parts and accessories you need in stock always. And if we don't have it, we'll get it for you ASAP. From tail lights to RV toilet paper.
Oh no, I forgot that too.
It's all here. Don't wait till the last minute. See us today at Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan with you on a busy, wet Thursday afternoon. Also, hey, if you're looking for some great ball, the RIverhawks in action coming up this weekend. They will have tonight's a game, and then they have Friday off, and then they have Saturday, Sunday, and of course, Canada Day Monday, as they look to continue their quest to finish first in their division. If you finish first, that guarantees you a playoff berth for the second half. So, of course, the first half wraps up after Monday. So, big game tonight, though, if you're going, and hopefully it's not rained out. I think it's last we checked, everything's still good to go. So, hopefully the rain stays away. It just cooled things off, and then we'll be good to go tonight. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where right now from June 28th to July 1st this weekend, you can shop the extra special Boxing Weekend deals. So that starts tomorrow. Mattresses starting at just $149.95. That's it. Check it out. Take up to 20% off all outdoor furniture this weekend only at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
TR, not sure if you saw it today, but I'll ask Gregor for sure. Did anything stand out to you specifically at Jeff Jackson's presser speaking to the media?
I would say this. He was pretty calm about the Draisaitl, which to me I view it as like, you know what, there's no, oh my gosh, we got to get this done July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Doesn't feel like it's rushed. And he said they really weren't going to get into the real nuts and bolts of it until he announces a GM. So I think he'll be using the draft. You know, there's some teams that, you know, they wait until the draft's over. Then there'll be some guys who you might be able to hire away from other organizations. Because basically he kind of outlined what his plan is. The guys he wants to interview, a lot of them are still working with other teams. And you couldn't really do that when they had Ken Allen here because they didn't want distraction. So it makes sense. DR, what about you?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it, so I really don't have a comment.
We'll move on to question number 2. Then, heading into free agency, who do you guys think's the bigger all-around deal? I'm going to say total money. So, term will play a role in this one. Gensel, Reinhart, or is there someone else that you think could sneak in there?
I think Reinhart. Recency bias, maybe. Even if they won the Stanley Cup. He showed a lot of spunk doing it. He had his best year, and even if it was an outlier, which I don't think it is, I just think he still stands to command the most.
Well, see, I think it's an outlier. He's never scored. Like, his previous high was 33. He went up to 57. Now, the point total, he's had 82 before, so he had 94. So, you know, could he come in the middle and be 87, 88 again? I don't think that's much difference. But, man, I think he's going to be really hard-pressed to score 50 goals again. That's hard to do. I think Jake Gensel might get the most because I think Jim Rutherford really wants him. And I could see him do it. But I you know what? I could see actually both maybe coming in at 9.5 mil. That's going to be my number. I'm going to say 9.5 mil is their AV. And the advantage is Reinhart can get 8 years. Gensel can only get 7. So that, but if we're just going AAV cons, I think they're both going to be 9.5.
All right. Question number 3. We're talking buyouts here. Who do you think's the lock to be buyout? And is there anyone you think should be?
Well, Jack Campbell for the Edmonton Oilers. It's Mark, lock it in. Like the Jeff Skinner one actually makes no sense for Buffalo, I don't think. But I think Jack Campbell makes a lot of sense for a buyout for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, Campbell. I'm going to say Skinner doesn't make much sense when you try to dissect it, but there's a lot of talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which I'm kind of surprised at. But for obvious reasons, we're on an Edmonton show, and I'll be very, very surprised if Jack Campbell isn't bought out, as a lot of people would.
Question number 4 for you guys right now. PlayAlberta.ca. BC Lions 6.5-point favorites over the Elks with the over/under set at 53. If I was giving you not 50, let's say $5 to put down on any of these selections, where would your money go?
My money would go on the Elks.
Money line or cover the spread?
Oh, sorry. No, definitely to cover the spread.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna take the over. I think there's gonna be some points, so I will say that.
I like that one. Final question for you guys today. It is apparently National Bomb Pop Day. I've seen these called as rockets. The popsicle brand calls them firecrackers, but they're the ones that are blue, white, and red. So my question for you both is, when the ice cream truck pulls up, you're a young kid, you're running out, you're excited. What is the go-to selection from the ice cream truck?
For me, it was always, man, so it's such a standard answer, but I like the regular popsicle. I like the ones, those firecrackers, but the regular, because you could crack them, take one part out, and leave the other part in the wrapper, and it wouldn't melt as fast.
Smart.
Really do.
Well, I'm a huge, we didn't have it, drumstick for sure as I got older. But when I was younger, I was a big fan of the creamsicle. I like the popsicle with the ice cream in the middle. So big creamsicle fan. Cons?
I was an ice cream sandwich guy.
Oh, those are good ones.
Go
yeah.
basic, but if they had the Oreo, every time. It'd be a little more expensive. Had to beg for a little more money, but the Oreo one for sure.
I remember when they had like the yellow, because you know how you're talking about that rocket? They had a similar shape, but then they had different flavors like brown and yellows, like chocolate and banana. Oh, that was unreal. I have no idea what it's called.
I know the exact ones you're talking about. I could only ever go with the ice cream or with the popsicle and stuff, because I found, I don't know, our guy came around like all day, and I'm like, I can only eat so many ice cream sandwiches and stuff. But I guess at a young age, you know if you get a sweet tooth. And I remember going, like, not because my mom told me, but like, yeah, but if I eat an ice cream, a chocolate ice cream or something, it's going to ruin supper. And I would go home and have like crushed 2 pizzas. I was just more of a salty tooth. So the popsicle just kind of, what's the word? It just delayed things a little bit until I could get real hungry again in a half hour.
Yeah, I like it. Cons, what was your choice again?
Ice cream sandwich. Sandwich for sure. Mm-hmm. You get like the Spider-Man shaped one, and you'd open it up, and it was just today, like mangled.
Though? Like, what about today? If the ice cream truck came around today, is it the same answer?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
TR, is it still a popsicle for you today?
You know what it would be today? I like the Mr. Freeze. I can handle that melting, and then it's kind of refreshing as you're going. Oh. It developed into Mr. Freeze in like my adult years.
I haven't had a jumbo freezy in a long time. God, there was like as a teenager years, man, that was the go-to. The big, huge one you could get, and they had all the different flavors. Oh,
so great.
Oh man,
so great.
Like orange, and then they had lime and purple. God, I used to buy them all the time, man. It was unbelievable. Back then, they were like 25 cents. God, I'm aging myself right now pretty bad, but trust me, kids.
I remember those days.
It was amazing. It was utterly amazing. I don't even know. Although I don't think a Freezy's that expensive now. I have no idea. I haven't purchased. All I know is like you go to the grocery store now or the convenience store. You're better off if you're going to get your kid to say, you know what, just we'll go buy you a box of Costco and come get them, because there's like $6 for one of them at the convenience store. It's like, man, I'm gonna buy a whole box for 12. What the hell?
Yeah, exactly. I just get those little ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At the grocery store.
I don't need the big one now. It's too much for sure. Well, TR, have yourself a great weekend. We will see how busy the teams are. So for fun, the order is, if I give you a free agent, tell me if he's going to re-sign in Edmonton or he's going to market. I'll just say the name. Tell me what your initial reaction is. Connor Brown.
I think he'll re-sign in Edmonton.
Jan Mark.
Market.
Ooh. Henrique.
I think he'll resign.
Vogel.
Market.
Desharnais.
Definitely market.
Perry.
Yeah, he'll go market.
All right. We'll see. I think Janmark and Brown are for sure here. I Vogel and Desharnais, I agree with you. Henrique's the one that I can't get. I know he really liked it here. He got back in Canada. He finally got back in the playoffs. He's made $55 million to date in his career. Could he take a little bit less to stay? He might. Well, what's the term? So he's an interesting one for me. Corey Perry. I know there was. I heard some talk between them and the Oilers. I really like Corey Perry and get his experience and everything, but man, his foot speed, I'm just not sure is a big help for them. Him and Derek Ryan both on the fourth line. It's not ideal. I don't think you can go in your fourth line again next year, but maybe he's here to start the year and then you add as you go. But I'm just not. I think he probably wants to come back to Edmonton. No question. He would take league minimum for sure, but I'm not sure if does Edmonton really need him. That's the question. I still think he'll come back to Edmonton though. When it's all said and done, I think he'll be like the Sam Gagner of last season, who starts.
He's not
here.
getting any quicker.
No, he's not
right
at all. TR, have yourself a great weekend. We will chat with you next week.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Edmonton. We'll talk to you guys in just a few days.
There you go. That's Terry Ryan joins every Tuesday, Thursday here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by the Hockey Heroes Society. And they are having their golf tournament in conjunction with NHL alumni who show up. You have a great weekend, and you have a great weekend on the Friday night gala. Saturday night's the golf tournament. So you can sign up your foursome, hockeyheroesgame.com. If you like golf, you want to combine it with hockey and dinner and helping out the Hockey Heroes Foundation, which is unbelievable, gets lots of kids who otherwise would never have the chance to play hockey. Got some physical disabilities. They get them in. It is amazing. It's one of the most inspiring events that you'll have. So it's fun. And so you'll do a great time. I love golfing. Interact with some NHL alumni. Go to hockeyheroesgame.com. Here's Connor Halley.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers and general manager Ken Holland mutually agreeing to part ways. The team announced today Holland was named Oilers GM and president of hockey ops back in 2019. He oversaw a team that went to 21, 21, and 32 during the 5-year tenure with 4 playoff appearances, 1 appearance in the Stanley Cup final. The Vancouver Canucks have signed forward Dakota Joshua to a 4-year contract extension with an AAV of $3.25 million. Tyler Myers, a blue liner, also signing with the Canucks for another 3 years with an AAV of $3 million. And the Dallas Stars buying out defenseman Ryan Suter with a year remaining on his contract. In the association, the Denver Nuggets and Canadian star Jamal Murray working towards a 4-year, $209 million contract extension. Murray had 1 year left on his current deal, and the Toronto Raptors acquired guard Davion Mitchell, power forward Sasha Vezenkov, and the 45th overall selection from the Sacramento Kings in exchange for Jalen McDaniels. In the draft, the Raptors did select Jonathan Magua out of San Francisco to center with the 31st overall selection. Major League Baseball today, the Jays are in action. They'll take on the New York Yankees just after 5 o'clock. Currently, the Orioles lead the Rangers 1-0. Phillies up on the Marlins by that same score. Earlier today, Twins beating up on the Diamondbacks 13-6. It was the Cubbies over the Giants 5-3 in extras, and the White Sox get past the Braves in a thriller 1-0. Edmonton RIverhawks wrapping up their series with Bellingham down at Remax Field tonight just after 7 o'clock. And at Copa America at halftime, Panama and the United States tied at 1 apiece. Later tonight, Bolivia takes on Uruguay from East Rutherford, New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. In the WNBA today, you got 3 games. Sun take on the Mystics, Sky host the Aces, and the Fever head to Seattle to take on the Storm. Earlier on today, Wings up taking down the Lynx 94-88. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Marshall Ferguson from the CFL on TSN. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Albatross Roofing and Construction has immediate job openings for skilled flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators and installers. If you have SBS modified bitumen experience and CSTS certification, they want you. Get a great wage, benefits, steady work, and upward growth. Apply at roofingalbatross.ca today.
As a business owner, you know that good business is based on good relationships. So imagine, how would you feel if your commercial insurance was driven by people, not products? At High Street Insurance, we've been serving Canadian businesses like yours for 10 years. People, taking care of people. We take the time to learn about your business so we can ensure that your insurance coverage is finely tuned to the nuances of your commercial situation. Good protection starts with understanding you. Reach out to us today at highstreetinsurance.com.
Late night sports, you got it. This is Jason Smith from Fox Sports. You can hear my show weeknights from 9 to midnight on Sports 1440. Mike Harmon joins me as we talk about what happened today in the world of sports, all right here on Sports 1440.
What a season. What a ride. Congratulations on an incredible season from GS Construction. Whether you're a laborer, pipe layer, or pipe layer's helper, lead hand, operator, top man or woman, or water and sewer foreman, GS Construction has room for you on their team. GS Construction, celebrating 50 years of laying the groundwork of Edmonton and communities throughout Alberta. Let's get to work. Get started today at gsconstruction.ca.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industry. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our biggest sale of the year. This month, every new and used vehicle we have has been marked down and priced to sell. We have Ram trucks that are 25% off, brand new trucks, and we have hundreds to choose from. We have 0% financing up to 72 months on Grand Cherokee. Even though we know our prices are great, every single offer will be considered. We will work to get you the best financing terms. We will pay top dollar for your trade. We will do what it takes to earn your business. It's our biggest sale of the year, and it's on now at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
The ATV Classic is returning to Northern Bear Golf Club.
An international field of professionals will battle it out on their path towards the PGA Tour.
$15 gets you access to the tournament or upgrade your ticket for premium greenside viewing.
Net proceeds go to Youth on Course to give kids age 6 to 18 access to play golf for just $5.
Come see the future stars of the PGA Tour.
The ATV Classic at Northern Bear Golf Club.
June 27th to 30th.
Get your tickets at atvclassic.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's game day. Sports 1440. Got some RIverhawks action tonight for those of you who are interested in that. Of course, also got the green and gold. Their quarterback not overly ecstatic with the schedule with games in 5 days. I can't really disagree with them on that. At all. So I understand the frustration, right? So we'll see what happens. But tonight, a little bit of a late game for you on the road. We'll have some more insight into that coming up after our next guest. So the Elks 0-3 trying to get their first victory of the season. They've been close. Made some tough losses, but at some point you got to turn those tough losses into victories. Then they'll play their next 2 against Ottawa and then Hamilton. So I don't know. Get a win tonight, and all of a sudden, maybe they could go on a little bit of a run. We'll see. Let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. And so I want to thank all the fans, everybody, for having a great 2-month run for the playoffs. They say, hey, hopefully same time, same place next year from GS Construction. As we welcome to the show, Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. And Spec, Jeff Jackson spoke today. He's I wrote this yesterday. He's going to be the de facto GM until they hire a new GM. Although, I still think that he's going to be heavily involved with the new GM. He did say that, until we get the new GM in place, we're probably not going to have any real serious discussions with Leon Draisaitl's camp. It doesn't feel like it's urgent. And I actually agree. I thought people were freaking out, like thinking it had to be signed right away. We've seen guys sign middle of July, August, September, October. Hell, Pasternak didn't sign till during the season. There's been lots of other guys. Like, I don't think it's as urgent as some are trying to suggest it is. Where do you come out?
Oh, totally not. Right. Totally not. Like, I think what history tells us is we watch these guys who sign, like, for instance, when McDavid and Draisaitl signed their second contracts and they were signing long-term, they were RFAs, they were doing 7-8 years. Those tend to happen as fast as you can make them happen. A guy's young and they do that. Now it's different. Like, the ball's in Draisaitl's court. He is in no hurry here. He wants to see who the new GM is. His camp wants to see where the cap's going to be, not this year, but next year, because that's where he's going to be getting the percentage of that cap.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no hurry, man. There's just no hurry. I know the fans, the media want to happen immediately, but the people, the guy that's in control of this thing is Leon Draisaitl and his agent, and they have no reason to be in a hurry here.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. And I get it. Like, and I don't think fans need to be that stressed out over it. Breathe.
No.
Like, it's going to sort itself out. Stressing about it every day isn't going to make it sort itself out any quicker.
No.
What do you like? What are some? I was looking after, Jeff Jackson basically admitting that the guys he wants to speak to, are under contract with other teams and they're waiting it out. And so there's some respect factor here. There's also, they didn't want to conduct interviews during the playoff run when Ken Holland was here, just to have any sort of extra distraction. Now, maybe it wouldn't be a distraction, to be honest. Like, I don't think this is not a surprise. I mean, talking about it for a year that Ken Holland wasn't coming back as the GM. I thought maybe as a consultant, but he's not going to be in that regard. So I guess a twofold question. A, why do you think he's not here in any capacity? And then B, any names that you think they might be looking at?
I think Ken Holland knows that when the organization hired Jeff Jackson, that they were probably, that's a sign that they're kind of moving on. And Jeff Jackson made a lot of the calls this year and a lot of the decisions that maybe Ken Holland would have had more input on before. So, Ken Holland's done this 25 years. He can read the tea leaves here. And someone in the Oilers organization, whether it was Daryl Cates or whoever, made a decision that we're going to move on from the 60, whatever Holland is, 64-year-old, 25-year GM, and we're going to move down to a newer, younger, hipper, forward-thinking Jeff Jackson. And Kenny looks at that to say, that's fine. If that's what you're doing, I can live with that. It's time to move on here. So I think his day as a full-time GM is done. I'm pretty sure it is. I think if, let's say, Ottawa phoned him with Steve Staios and said, hey, man, can you kind of come here and spend a little time around us and give Staios a guy to phone and talk to and lean on? He'd probably love to do that as a bit of a part-time gig. I do. When they said Kenny Holland's going to go to Columbus and go, be the GM, I thought, no way he's taking on a new 5-year project. Like, he's not doing that. So maybe he works, Jay. Maybe he doesn't. He's got more money than anyone needs. He's got a bunch of grandkids. He's got a wife that hasn't seen enough of him. He's probably ready to call her a day. If I was him, I would be.
Yeah, it's fair. Right. I think I knew, when I spoke to Ken last year, he had mentioned like the commitment to be a GM, the time commitment is just not something he wanted to do anymore. He's going to be 69 years of age in November. Right. And, he's got grandkids.
69. There you go.
Yeah. He's got grandkids. He's got his kids. He's got his wife, got golfing. There's a lot of golfing he'd like to do, but I do, your point about being a consultant and just, kind of easing himself into retirement. Maybe like look at Glenn Sather, finally officially retired. Some people are like, what? I didn't even know he's still working, but he was around doing some stuff. All right. And you're around, you're able to be in the conversations. Right. And, and for some guys, they like that. And I totally understand it. So that's not a surprise to me by any stretch, but I do, I kind of look at, will it be a GM or is it do you think he'll go younger here or do you think he's going to go for an experienced guy?
Well, that's a good question. No, I think because Jeff Jackson, when you spend as many years across the table from all 32 other GMs, I think your learning curve is pretty quick, right? Jeff Jackson's pretty experienced at dealing with general managers. I think he knows a lot about the craft. I think he brings in a guy like, they're one of these sharp young assistants, right? A guy that's been working for a good GM, like maybe who's the guy in Tampa? Is it Matthew Darsh?
Yeah.
There's a guy that's been working for Breezeball for a long time, and he's ready for his own gig. Maybe a guy like that. They talk about a guy in Toronto named Hardy. Is it Ryan Hardy? I do not know him, but he's supposed to be very young and sharp. So, I personally don't see him bringing in, the next version of Ken Holland or, someone like that, like a Pete Chiarelli. I don't see it. Could be, but I don't see it. I see a younger, more forward-thinking analytics type guy, and to be overseen by Jackson. And between the two of them, I would think most questions that come up, Jay, they'd be able to figure out the answer, wouldn't they?
Well, they would hope so, right? Not going to have much option. Like it's going to be somebody, I think, who's got to have a little bit of experience negotiating contracts. I would think. Now, some would argue that the Draisaitl contract won't be that hard, and I would probably agree in the sense of I think we know what the AAV is going to be. It's just going to come down to how long it's going to be. I'm kind of surprised suddenly people are like, well, I don't want Draisaitl long term. I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy's the second leading scorer for the last 9 years in the NHL. Since he's been in the NHL second, and you, like I said, show me elite guys, and they're like, well, Danny Heatley. I'm like, Danny Heatley started falling off, and he had 2 really great years, and after that, it was down from 100 points to 80 points to 70 points before he was 30. Right? There's like I get he's a big guy, but so is Jaromir Jagr, and there's lots of other guys like that. Like I think the concern that Leon Draisaitl is going to fall off a cliff at 32 or 3 is somewhat shocking to me. All of a sudden, where this has come from.
I don't buy it either.
Right. So I think that negotiation isn't that difficult, to be honest. It's more the Evan Bouchard and the timing of what you want to do with Evan Bouchard on a contract. Because everybody's talking 10 or 11 million. And I'm like, if I hear the Edmonton Oilers, I would lean to a bridge deal because I'm like, in 2 more years, is he going to be worth that much more than 10 or 11? Like if you're giving him the max now, it's not like that's a bargain. So why wouldn't you take a bridge deal if you could?
Yeah, I mean, the question, there's 2 things here. Draisaitl first. I don't think he wants to sign for 8 years here. If he did, I would entertain it for sure. I'm with you on Draisaitl. He slows the game down. That's his strength. So that as that guy gets older, he's still going to slow the game down, right? Draisaitl's game isn't predicated on foot speed. It never has been, never will be. So that guy is going to be fine in his 30s. Hey, every guy when he's 36 isn't as good as when he was 26. Don't get me wrong, but whatever. If Draisaitl wants to sign for 8, I'm signing him for 8. Bouchard, Bouchard, if he wants 8, he's got to take a little less money. Maybe you save some money on it. I mean, he is a number. I'm calling him a number 1 defenseman now, Jay, aren't you? Isn't he a legit number 1 defenseman now?
Yeah, he's close for sure, right? Like,
you've got to be.
Yeah.
How much closer you need to be?
Yeah.
We always have the conversation. Everybody out there, we sit around before games, and maybe it's Speck and Maddie and Jason, and maybe a scout or another guy. We go, how many number 1 defensemen are there in this league? And we start writing them down, and we get to about 15, and we stop, and we're arguing over guys. He's not one. He is one. And to me, Bouchard in this playoff run has gone from the outside of that top 15 to the inside of it. I call him an everyday number 1 defenseman now. And you want one of those guys, you got to pay for him.
I know that. Well, that's 100%.
Yeah.
There's no rush because he's an RFA. That's my point. Like you can wait till next summer with Evan Bouchard. First of all, he has to sign a qualifying offer. Second of all, someone have to offer him such a high number that it's not plausible.
No.
Like, and
even if he sign him right away for sure, man. You can wait for sure, Jay. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And even if he falls to arbitration, that doesn't rush you because you still got another month to negotiate with him.
Yeah, and then arbitration is for guys that we have some disagreement what they're worth. Let's face it. You've been sitting around this organization for this many. Who's the last number 1 defenseman they had here? Chris Pronger for a year.
Yeah.
And before him, who?
Yeah.
Before.
Maybe you would say Sheldon Surrey for a very brief time, but yeah, you're probably.
Yeah, he was hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like that's a valid point. But even he only was around for a little while.
Yes.
Like, when's I'm here to tell you, the last time you grew your own number one defenseman, you wore number 7 in this town.
Yeah.
So arbitration is for guys that we're going to argue over how good you are. We're not arguing about Bouchard. Right?
Yeah.
Bouchard is the straw that stirs the drink on your back end now. And yeah, you got to pay him. But we're not going to go to arbitration and fight over what you're worth. His next contract's going to be an 8-year contract here. That's what it's going to be. And all I'll say is, you and I and everyone can have the argument whether you can have 3 guys, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard, making a lot of money and how that's going to work. But at least, Jason, there are 3 really important different positions.
Yeah.
You got my first-line center, I got my second-line center, and I got my number 1 D. I'm not Toronto with 4 forwards, right? Some of them wingers, right? I'm Edmonton with 2 top centers and my best defenseman. I got Skinner in goal. He's taking care of us there. I mean, those are the 4 most probably important positions on your team, and the Oilers couldn't be doing a whole lot better than they're doing right now, could they?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Mark Spector joins us on Sports 1440. And the other reason, the benefit to wait for Bouchard is, like, how much better of a season could he have realistically, right? Like, it's not like he's going to price himself out that he's already, everybody's talking 10 or 11 million already. Like, I don't think, like, what's he going to get 120 points? I guess, but that would seem unlikely. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I hear you.
So they do that. It allows them time's never a bad thing for them when he's an RFA. And like, I think when I look at next season, the one player that needs to be better next year and more consistent is Darnell Nurse, because he's got 6 years left at 9.25. I think Paul Coffey was a coach who supported him, but also challenged him to be better and to do more. And I'm very curious to see what he did, because 2 years ago, Darnell Nurse was exceptional for the Oilers. Exceptional. And last year wasn't bad either. Like this year, the second half. So I think there's a lot of people that remember the second half in the playoffs, and that's valid because it's the most recent. But they don't need, like, Nurse is never going to put up 80 points because he's not on a power play. But he can be more consistent defensively. And you know what? Maybe he's playing with Broberg. I don't know who he's playing with. But he, I think, can be more consistent next year, and that'll make a big difference for them.
Yeah, he's older, and he's Darnell's game. Any shortcomings in Darnell's game are never physical, right? He skates better than 90% of guys out there. Yeah. Everything that goes wrong in his game is a bad choice, a bad read, the wrong time to jump up. That stuff, I mean, I'll challenge Darnell. He's got to figure that stuff out. He's a veteran player now. He has to, if he could maximize his physical skills and by doing everything at the right time, right? Mm-hmm. Making the right read, jumping up when he should. I'm fine with Darnell jumping up. There's not many guys that can come back faster than him. He skates like, his stride is all but perfect. He has to start thinking like a veteran player and making the right reads. And if he does that, is he not, I mean, he is a couple million too expensive, but is he not a perfect number 3 defenseman behind Bouchard and Ekholm? Then you run out Nurse, let him skate the puck a little if he can figure out when to go, and give him a solid guy on the right side that plays defense. I mean, how stacked are you in your top 4? If Darnell's my third guy and he's playing well and he's worth something close to his salary, I think you got an awfully good defense, don't you?
Yeah. Well, 100%. And you know what? I think there's definitely a chance for more consistency from him, and I think that's what they'll look for next year. That to me
that's where it has to go, Jay. You're totally right. It has to go there. Hey, before you let me go, if the Elks kind of get beat up tonight, they're 0-4, and there's a bye week coming.
Mm-hmm.
When do we start talking about Chris Jones here?
Wow, he's the GM. How can he fire himself?
I don't know. I guess.
No, but yeah. No, I
mean, here's another season swirling in the bowl here, buddy. 0-4, right?
Oh, hey, dude, I know. I totally get you.
Like how many trips to the plate does this guy get striking out every single time?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. No, it's hard to argue that, buddy. He's got to figure it out. Well, we're gonna have the former quarterback joining us next to discuss it, because they've lost close games, but you know what? Close games don't mean a whole bunch other than in hand grenades or horseshoes. So
we're playing professional sports here. It's not about how close we were to winning, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very true. Yeah, Marshall Ferguson will join us next, because we'll talk about the Elks and I know it's only game 4, and I know there's been the Lions and other teams that have had bad starts and came back and made playoffs and won. But when you're a team that has been as bad as the Elks have been for many years, I don't hold a lot of faith. At some point, you got to me, they know how to lose, and they keep showing you how to lose games at key times.
They do. What year is this for Jones as the coach and GM?
Third.
Right, and the first 2 were not even close.
No,
I mean, I don't know how you missed the playoffs 3 years in a row in the CFL.
Yeah, wow. I can tell you that I think once they have the new owner spec, which is getting closer, that I think when that occurs, a lot's change. I think the organization right now, they don't want to, you get rid of the coach and GM.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing with money? Yada yada yada. But
they're in a holding pattern probably. Yeah. And I feel for Elks fans that are hell, I'll watch that game tonight all night long. I'm kind of looking forward to watching it, actually.
Wow.
But it's as an Edmonton guy, it's getting hard to keep watching that team when it ends with an L every night, man. It's starting to get old.
Well, one correct pick, Spec. I have McKinnon winning the Ted Lindsay, and I think Kucherov is going to win the Hart. And so far, McKinnon, I'm 1 for 1. He won the Ted Lindsay.
Oh, you won the Ted Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay, well,
yeah.
There's no, and the Ted Lindsay is what the most valuable player is voted by the rest of the players.
No, most outstanding. Very different. Just basically, who do they think is the best player in the league that year? That's it.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, this is saying the quiet part out loud. Guys that vote for Connor McDavid 20 years in a row, but there's a little McDavid fatigue here.
Well, this year, though, I think
he opens the door a crack this year, and they go, awesome, let's vote for a different guy.
Yeah, but this year, I think it was deserving. I think if you look at the overall season of McKinnon, this season, he had a better regular season.
It's okay. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that. I kind of feel like it's the old argument over the trophy. Is it the best guy this year, or is it just the best player in the league?
No, it's supposed to be for that year.
I'm going to challenge you to say, sorry?
Yeah, for me, it's based on who is the best player this season, not who's the best player in the league all the time. It's who had the best year this year.
Okay, well then McKinnon deserves it. I'm asking you, if it's the best, who's the best player? I would ask you, every guy that voted for McKinnon, I'd want to ask him, would you trade him for McDavid straight over? And not a single guy would.
No. But the wording of the rule is, who's the best player this season? Who had the best year?
Yeah, hey, that's fine. And you know what? Connor McDavid, his trophy case is stacked. Let's share the love a little bit here. McKinnon is one of the best players in the world. I mean, I in my eyes, he's the second best player in the National Hockey League today. And there's not many guys I like better than Draisaitl, but he would be one of the very few. And it just makes us want to watch a Team Canada with McDavid and McKinnon streaking down the ice together. How much fun will that be? Holy man, let's go.
Yeah, that will be good. Spec, appreciate your time.
All right, JC, man.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, Marshall Ferguson will join us. We'll tee up the Elks. Big game in BC tonight. Can they get a win? What has to change? And does he like the offensive play calling? We'll find out next.
Warmer, brighter days can make you crave something to sip. Booster Juice is busting out booster mixers, the summer fixers. Cold, tasty sippers in 5 vibrant varieties. The Mango Teaser, Berry Teaser, Almighty Acai, Game Set Matcha, and Oranges and Cream. Try all 5 and brighten your day a sip at a time. And try the Cookies and Cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Rule number 33. White shirts attract Stampede Bustard like magnets. Maybe just bring a spare. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules, and if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
This is Paul Sir, host of the basketball show on Sports 1440. Every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon, we cover local, international, professional basketball right here on Edmonton's exclusive home for sports talk.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So, who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one down, better than 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and it's so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
Boxing Week pricing is back at the Brick, and that means amazing end-of-the-year sales during summertime. Save up to 40% off mattresses and up to $700 off sectionals. Also, take up to 25% off dining and bedroom packages. Plus, from June 28th to July 1st, find specialty Boxing Weekend deals, like mattresses starting at just $149.99. Make your dream home a reality with brand name items on a budget. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
I'm Rick Showers from Noble RV, and we're having a moving sale at our Spruce Grove store. Now, our new store in Leduc is huge, and we have room for lots more. But we have over 100 quality used RVs here in Spruce Grove, and I'd rather give you a great deal than pay a mover to take it to Leduc. Does that make sense to you, Johnny?
Makes perfect sense to me, Rick. So what's your plan?
Well, Johnny, first thing is we're going to take the moving costs off the price of every used RV in Spruce Grove, and we do accept offers. So find the perfect used RV right here. We have over 100 camping trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, tent trailers, and motorhomes. See anything you like, Johnny?
Might just keep this one for myself, Rick.
Yeah, we get that a lot, but the moving sale is for a very limited time. We have to close the Spruce Grove store in just a couple weeks. But if we happen to have what you're looking for, then it's a win for both of us.
And that's NobleRV.ca.
I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball. I had $1 million, but I'd spend it all if I could find that Hannah and that Sancho that she's found. Well, I'd pop a cap in Sancho.
Continue on. Edmonton sports leader, TSN 1260. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you as Connor Bedard has just won the Calder Trophy as the top rookie in the National Hockey League. And I get it, but I do think there is a very Faber, if you look at the numbers, what he did as a defenseman this year, it's hard to overlook him. Honestly, I thought he had just an unreal season. Unreal year. Anyway, let's get some incident analysis brought to you by Albatross Roofing. They are looking for experienced flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators. Must have experience with SPF modified bitumen roofing systems. You can apply at roofingalbatross.ca. It's roofingalbatross.ca for all of you experienced roofers, sheet metal fabricators. Our next guest, he's very experienced at play-by-play, breaking down I don't know if he's scared of heights, though, or not. Marshall Ferguson joins us now from play-by-play guy and analyst on CFL on TSN. Marshall, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
It's great to be on with you. I can confirm while trying to act like a super dad, as we tend to do around the holidays, that I am not scared of heights because my roof is not certified with the angle of slope for someone to casually slide down it with an inflatable Santa, but I did that and strapped it to my chimney and then somehow survived and made it back up there a day before the entire roof got iced over for the remainder of the winter. So Christmas was a huge success at the Ferguson house, despite Dad's idiocy.
Oh, I like it. That's a good move. Real good move. Let's get to the Elks. It's they've been competitive, Marshall, but you don't get any bonus points. There's no moral victories when you've had two struggling seasons like that. What do you make of their first 3 weeks? Last week, probably a game, they could have won. They made some crucial mistakes, a terrible penalty on contacting the kicker late in that game. That obviously played a big factor. It just seems like right now they know how to lose, and they find ways to lose games at key moments.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what my general feeling is on the Elks right now. They need to find a way to get out of that funk. And certainly learning is a habit, and that's what makes Winnipeg so strange to us all that love the Canadian Football League and watch it year over year over year, because Winnipeg has known how to win football games better than anybody, and they haven't been able to figure it out here early in the season. So I find comparing those two, specifically in the conversation of the West, really intriguing, because which team do you have more confidence in the fact that they will figure it out and somehow be able to make it into the playoff picture? It's obviously Winnipeg. And you say, well, why is that? Well, because they don't typically take bad penalties, and they don't throw the late game interception, and they don't find ways on special teams through not just situational coaching of not knowing what to do in certain spots in the game, because the CFL obviously is a very quirky and unique game. You need to have people on your staff who are going to make sure that every single person is on the same page and understands how this game is played and then execute it. And I feel like Edmonton just hasn't been able to do that. And it's one of the biggest things that I've been totally confounded by over the last couple of years is, okay, you've got Chris Jones there and you've got G. Roy Simon there, and I think they do have an eye for talent. There's no question in that. But there has to be some level of continuity in order for your roster to come together and guys to gel. I mean, I was doing the Montreal-Ottawa game last Thursday night in Quebec, and we were actually remarking, I was talking with AJ Jackiebeck from TSN, Paul Part of Ottawa, saying we were going through the list looking for pronunciations or any little hiccups or changes or things that we might need to kind of button down before we got on the game broadcast. And I went up to AJ and he goes, this Alouettes roster looks a lot like last year. I said, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Because in the CFL, you're supposed to have crazy free agency and everybody goes everywhere and nobody stays. But Montreal's been able to keep it rolling and they have continuity. And that's why I think they've gotten off to such a hot start, aside from Jason Moss being a good coach. So all of that is to say, when you're Chris Jones and you're replacing a former first-round pick at linebacker with another first-round pick at linebacker, and you're swapping out receiver over receiver over receiver, and you're bringing in this guy, and you're swapping out that defensive lineman to Toronto, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and I'm not sure that it's going to work out in the way that he hopes it will.
Well, I think impatience and just, this guy had a few bad weeks, we're going to bring someone else in, then you start at ground zero, and it's rinse, wash, repeat, and he's the GM and the coach, and I'm just not sure there's anybody that can say, hey, Chris, take a step back. Is this the right decision? Because I know when Hervey was a GM, those conversations happened regularly because he would get frustrated and after a loss and want to get rid of these guys, and okay, let's think about it, and then it wouldn't happen. But now that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, and I think that this kind of brings up, not to get too philosophical with it, Jason, but the idea of kind of like healthy tension, because I talked with Jason Moss about that last week, because he was basically saying, I want guys that want to compete, and if you don't want to compete, I don't want you to be on my roster in Montreal, because every single day we're going to bang and we're going to run and we're going to condition you and we're going to compete in the facility and out of the facility. And I basically said to him, you do realize that in a culture evolving in football where we limit padded practices and you're only allowed to have guys in the building for so many hours a day mandated and all the rest, I'm like, it's kind of hard to instigate this culture of tension where it's, yes, we're constantly fighting, but we're fighting because we're all trying to make each other better. And that's what he's, again, been able to do in Montreal. In Edmonton, I get the sense that the healthy tension that's there of Ed Hervey going, hey, hang on, let's talk this through. We need to find some solutions here, Chris Jones might just want to have his say. And like, as much as G.R. Simon is there and does a really good job being able to find players, I just feel like Chris has the final say. And when you kind of give that sort of autonomy to somebody and the solutions aren't coming and the decisions aren't working out the way that he hopes they are, and he is the one who's making all of them, there's kind of only one person that can take a lot of the blame at that point, which it feels like there's a collision course for Chris Jones to take a heck of a lot of the blame and maybe not have his job if this keeps going the way that it is. But yeah, I mean, it's, for me, being able to have somebody to kind of catch you and talk things through, that's a good thing. Like, for anybody, I'm a political science student way back in the day. And I mean, any civilization that you study that has one person at the top who never gets questioned typically doesn't end all that well.
Yeah, very true. What about the Elks play calling? You saw the numbers that they put up last week. So obviously it's very good. 4 different receivers are getting touchdowns. They're spreading the ball around. They're running attack though, Marshall. What's lacking on the ground?
I think it's the offensive line more than anything else, because I think Kevin Brown is a really, really good player. The thing that is kind of mind-blowing to me is, like, McLeod Bethel-Thompson is very obviously the answer for a lot of what ails them. He is leadership. He is under control. He's measured. He speaks well. He does, a lot of media. And I remember when, he kind of got hit over the head for, well, you didn't finish the Grey Cup when he was in Toronto, when Chad Kelly came in, and because you didn't finish the game for the last 8 snaps and you didn't play all that great in that game, therefore you're not really a champion. You get this championship glow, but you're not really that guy. And to me, it's like, no, he is that guy, because I saw videos and I talked to people in Toronto who said in Guelph in training camp that year, he came out and essentially said, everybody follow me. I'm the leader of this group. You don't have to question who's going to be our vocal leader, our on-field leader. It's me. You got a problem? Come to me. And I'm like, man, as soon as he signed in Edmonton, aside from me being a little bit sad for Trey Ford in the Canadian angle, I just thought that is exactly what Edmonton needs. Is just somebody who says it like it is, and isn't afraid of saying, I'm the one in charge here on offense. If you want to deal with any issues, it goes through me and nobody else. So I think he's got a ton of potential. I love the quote that he had a couple of weeks ago, but the fact that, sure, we've had some mechanical issues, but it doesn't mean this offense isn't a Ferrari. And I agree, because Geno Lewis and Curly Gittens Jr. should be the top tandem receivers in the CFL, but they're not at this point. And I think a lot of it just comes back to the offensive line and pass protection. McLeod is having to dig them out of some holes, specifically in that Toronto game. He's got one of the highest second down conversion rates and one of the best conversion rates on 2nd and 7+, which is the ideal down and distance, obviously, for the defense to get after you. He picked apart the Argos, and that's why that score reached as high as it did and became crazy. And it's like, well, that's just because McLeod is putting the team on his back and trying to find a way to get you to victory. But, I mean, he can't do that all season long. So they're going to have to find more consistent answers, and running the football certainly is one of them. So Kevin Brown, I think, is one of the more kind of jitterbug, elusive guys that's around in the Canadian Football League right now. He kind of reminds me of a slightly younger Walter Fletcher, maybe even Kadeem Carey. So he fits the body type and the running style of somebody who can have a good 5 to 10 year career in the CFL and be very productive. But then it comes back to play calling and how are we designing this thing and how are we coaching this thing? And there's a lot of reasons, and I would say kind of variables in and around that Edmonton offense as to why they haven't exploded the way that I think they should. But I also think, what was the conversation that we were having when Geno Lewis signed last year? Oh my God, it's Geno Lewis, it's Kyron Moore, it's Stephen Dunbar, and it turned into nothing, right? And it's kind of like we're back in that spot, and you go, okay, we've swapped out some receivers, we've got an all-Canadian talent, we've got a slightly upgraded offensive line in a lot of people's eyes, and we're still not getting answers. So what is the actual problem? I think that's where we're at with Edmonton's attack.
Marshall Ferguson joins us. So they go up against BC tonight. Where's the weaknesses in the BC defense? How can Edmonton exploit it?
This actually really shocked me, because I was crunching the numbers for Toronto-Montreal because I have the call of that game in Ontario tomorrow. And I was looking at defenses and what they allow in terms of pass efficiency on throws of 20-plus yards down the field, right? So it's completion percentage, and then it factors in touchdowns and interceptions and number of attempts and how often people go after you, what's the average depth of target of your opponent, and all the rest. And these are all things that obviously, as a play-by-play person, I don't really need to know, but they certainly help educate me as I'm calling the game so that I can kind of tee up Dwayne Ford on some of the things and trends that are happening around the CFL. And what I found that really, really surprised me is the BC Lions are the worst team defensively on throws of 20-plus yards down the field. So, the reason that this is shocking to me, Jason, is that last year, I remember when we were going into that huge BC-Winnipeg matchup, and it was like, wow, these are the two Titans of the West this year, that I was looking up the numbers on what BC was doing defensively so well. And the pass efficiency rating on throws of 20-plus yards down the field against the BC law was the lowest in the CFL, and it was not even close. It was like 100 points in passer efficiency rating, lower than the second-best team. I believe at one point they had allowed 3 completions on 22 attempts last year, about a month or so into the season, and they were essentially like, 5 interceptions and 1 touchdown allowed. That's crazy in a league that's 65 yards wide and has so many receivers and so many ways to get open. So to see them go the exact opposite way this year is confusing to me, but to me it screams, if I'm the Edmonton Elks and I want to get on the board and I want to try and pull the upset, because let's be real, early season football and records be damned, if Edmonton goes ahead into BC and gets a victory, it would be a total upset in the eyes of everyone across the CFL.
Yeah.
And I think if they want to do that, they got to take some shots early, because whether BC is self-aware enough to know that they're struggling in this category or not, I don't know. But I would certainly take my shots. If I was McLeod Bethel-Thompson and I had gone through the scouting report and I had watched the film of all of those 20-plus yard passes that had been completed, I would come out, and the first 2 or 3 plays, I'm throwing it 20, 30, 40, 50 yards down the field just to see whether or not they're awake and whether or not they actually want to defend these bombs.
Yeah. What about defensively for the Elks? What's your biggest area of weakness that you've uncovered?
Losing Jake Serezna.
Shocking. Shocking.
I mean, you got to give up something to get something, and they certainly got something back in Curly Gittins Jr. But, as you are very aware, yeah, exactly. But as you're very aware, it's not it's not always the thing that you need. Sometimes it's the thing that you want. And certainly in Edmonton, I mean, Noah Curtis has been very, very good for them, and they're up near the top of the league in sacks. But in terms of actually dominating the line of scrimmage, they were by far the worst team against the run last year in the CFL. I think they're headed towards that if it continues to go, because, yeah, they've gotten a little bit younger and they've a little bit more diversified in the body types and everything up front, but it's still kind of a mix and match front 6, if you want to call it that, with the strong side linebacker being more of a defensive back. So I'd be surprised if we see, a consistent lineup for the remainder of the season, as long as Chris Jones is there, because he's just going to keep rotating bodies and trying to find solutions. But yeah, Serezna, I mean, seeing him in person playing for the Argonauts, you see like the 6'5" frame, you go, I thought you were like 6'2", 6'3", and you see, 233, like a healthy Jack 233, 240 up in there, and you go, I thought that you were like, shorter and heavier and slow. He's a really, really freaky athlete. So yeah, they gave up obviously Serezna and get Curly Gittins Jr., but it's types, and like I say, Noah Curtis has been good, but Jake Serezna is great, and it feels like up front they could work the line of scrimmage a little bit more if they had that body.
100%. Marshall, great stuff, man. We appreciate the rundown. Thanks for your time as always. Enjoy the games this weekend.
Good to be on with you. Thank you.
There you go. That is Marshall Ferguson joining us from the CFL on TSN. Take a quick break. We'll return. We got lots more from Jeff Jackson, a little MLB. No Canadians drafted in day 2 of the NBA draft, but some likely now will wait for the free agent signings. Shall I say the camp invites? They get a lot of those 10-dayers, so we'll see how that goes. Coming up on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live in the EWEL studio, EWEL.ca.
Hey, Elks fans.
Jackpot! Touchdown!
Get on the Elks party bus for every home game at On the Rocks for only $35.
Included is a game ticket, round-trip transportation, and a prepaid Coors Light.
Reserve your spot now at ontherocks.com.
And OTR is your go-to for every Euro Cup game.
With $5.25 Heineken.
Their first major trophy.
It's the ultimate football experience.
Canadian or European.
Only at On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
Hey Edmonton, ready to power up your projects with unbeatable strength and efficiency? Step into Edmonton Kubota, where our massive inventory meets all your needs. From rugged tractors and loaders to nimble mowers and utility vehicles, we've got the machines that work as hard as you do. And guess what? This month, we're rolling out exclusive deals that'll make your heart race faster than our engines. Drive down to Edmonton Kubota or visit EdmontonKubota.com to discover how we can boost your efficiency, productivity, and fun. Edmonton Kubota, powering your passion with every turn of the key.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Vincent Pearson at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Hey, Edmonton, this is Ben Maller. I have an overnight sports talk show here on Sports 1440. We are pumped to be in the Alberta market, so join us weekdays from midnight to 4. This is Sports 1440.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an AC repairman.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay, I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Albatross Roofing and Construction is hiring experienced flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators and installers in Edmonton. Must have FBS modified bitumen experience and valid CSTS certification. Enjoy top wages, benefits, and career growth. Apply at roofingalbatross.ca. Join their expert team today.
The ATB Classic is returning to Northern Bear Golf Club.
An international field of professionals will battle it out on their path towards the PGA Tour.
$15 gets you access to the tournament or upgrade your ticket for premium greenside viewing.
Net proceeds go to Youth on Course to give kids aged 6 to 18 access to play golf for just $5.
Come see the future stars of the PGA Tour.
The ATB Classic at Northern Bear Golf Club.
June 27th to 30th.
Get your tickets at atbclassic.com.
It's time to embrace the drive with Chevrolet. Lease the 2024 Equinox RS from $190 bi-weekly. That's like $95 weekly at 6.9% for 60 months with $3,400 down on an ultra-low kilometer lease. With Equinox's standard Chevrolet Safety Assist, standard power liftgate, available panoramic sunroof, and available adaptive cruise control, you'll have everything you need and more to make this the best season ever. Visit your local Chevrolet dealer for details.
Summer's just getting started. There's still plenty of time to sign up and save with Fairways to Heaven. We're offering amazing savings for all you golfers out there right through September. But don't wait. Many featured fairways are already sold out. Up next, Goose Hummock Golf Resort. On Monday, July 8th, a twosome can golf the Goose for only $80 with Power Cart. A unique combination of Scottish and Everglades architecture. There's simply nothing quite like the Goose. Plus, everyone's invited to stop by and enter the draw for this season's grand prize, a $1,500 prepaid visa from the golf cart people. Or scan the QR code in their showroom. Book now at K97fairways.ca. Fairways to Heaven.
Calling to the faraway towns. Now war is declared and battle come down. London.
Well, NHL awards have been handed out, and so far, nothing really, no real surprises. Hellebuck wins the Vezina. He gets 31 out of 32 votes. Sergei Bobrovsky did get 1. Connor Bedard, I still think I'm going to say this, Brock Faber got robbed, but Connor Bedard won by a pretty significant margin. Quinn Hughes wins the Norris by a significant margin. I don't think that was a surprise at all. And we don't have the votes for the Ted Lindsay Award, but they keep that one private for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but like I don't know why they wouldn't. It's kind of odd to me that why wouldn't you release it? Makes you don't have to put your name on it, right? The professional hockey writers, they put theirs out as they should. I think it's important. You don't want to hide behind, I like this guy, so I'm going to vote for him just because. We'll see. A lot of texts coming in at 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, thanks for keeping CFL alive, or it will die in Yag. No fans. All sports teams streams are NFL from Donnie M. I don't see the team dying. I'm not really one on that. They're in a funk now. Just like some NHL teams get in a funk and their fans go away, and NFL teams get in a funk, and MLB teams get in a funk. It's cyclical. It happens, right? There's very few fan bases that show up year after year when their team is terrible. Now, the Oilers did for a while, but even then, the Oilers, what's funny is in the last regular seasons, they didn't sell out every game. Funny enough. Now, that might have to do with ticket price more than anything else, but we'll see. Hey, guys, my only concern with waiting on a GM hire is how fast things are moving this offseason. The entire NHL is looking to get better while the Oilers are playing out the season. How does the GM vacancy affect re-signing players like Henrique and Janmark? I think they need to do some changes in the lineup. I don't think they can afford to take steps back and definitely need steps forward in physicality from Mark. Well, Mark, like I said, Jeff Jackson can easily re-sign Janmark and Brown, right? He's negotiated hundreds of contracts in his career. I don't think it's difficult at all. They have meetings. It wasn't like one GM is going to decide everything. They have multiple assistant GMs, pro scouts. I don't think one guy. I think if anything that people will realize from not having the GM for a short period of time isn't going to be like, oh my goodness, nobody else does anything. It's only one guy. I think this will show you that it's a team effort when it comes to management, or it has to be if you want to have success. Otherwise, it's not going to work out very well. I think that's fair to say for sure. That wraps up a busy Thursday. Tomorrow we'll have some Elks recap. Can they get a win? We'll find out. Con Man, where are you tonight? You can go see Cons if you want to watch party. Where are you?
Yeah, heading out to the Beer Hunter in Spruce Grove if anyone wants to make the trek out.
Come see the Con Man. Lots of diehard fans get out there together, so it's a lot of fun. So check that out tonight. 8 o'clock is kickoff tonight. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice, the cookies and cream booster ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Booster Reward app today and order one only at Booster Juice. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Oilers and GM Ken Holland are mutually agreeing to part ways. The team announcing today Holland was named Oilers GM back in 2019. He saw 4 playoff appearances and 1 Stanley Cup final, obviously, this past couple weeks. The Vancouver Canucks have signed forward Dakota Joshua to a 4-year contract extension with an AAV of $3.25 million. The team also signed defenseman Tyler Myers to a 3-year contract worth $3 million AAV. The Dallas Stars buying out defenseman Ryan Suter with a year remaining on his contract. From the association, the Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray working towards a 4-year, $209 million contract extension. Murray had 1 more year left on his current deal. He'll make $36 million next season. At the draft, Toronto Raptors selected Jonathan Mogbo with the 31st overall pick, the center out of San Francisco. Major League Baseball Blue Jays, great start, beating up on the Yankees 8-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. Elsewhere, Orioles have an 8-1 lead over the Rangers in the 5th. Top of the 6th, Marlins trail the Phillies 3-0, and the Reds lead the Cards 1-0 in the 1st. Earlier today, Twins knocked off the Diamondbacks 13-6. Cubbies over the Giants 5-3, and the Braves fall to the White Sox 1-0. Later tonight, Royals take on the Guardians, and the Tigers are in Anaheim. The Edmonton Riverhawks wrap up their series with Bellingham down at Remax Field. First pitch set for 7:05. At Copa America, Panama leading the United States 2-1 in the 92nd minute. They scored late, 83rd minute to take the lead. Later tonight, Uruguay takes on Bolivia. That's 7 o'clock from MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And in the WNBA at halftime, the Aces lead the Sky 46-39. Asia Wilson leading the way with 23 points. Also, the Sun trail the Mystics 50-46 at half. Later tonight, Storm take on the Fever. Earlier today, Lynx fell to the Wings 94-88. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Up next, it is Turn Sports. I'm Connor Halley. This is